Welcome to the latest episode of Platform. Today, we're going to be speaking to Jon Lee. Jon is one of the most prolific filmers in the UK. He has been responsible for James Bower's best section to date, Sweet Shin Music, and arguably Leon Humphries' best section to date, Devotion. He recently released Sam Crofts' USD Aeon promo, which again is probably one of Sam's strongest sections. Jon has just been on an absolute tear the past few years. He also released Alex Burston's Vanilla and Days and Nights in London, or 7 Days and Nights in London. 7 Days in London. I can't remember what it was called. Basically, he is filmed with some of the best skaters in the UK and managed to get the absolute finest blading out of them that anyone has. He's also made promos for Dirtbox, for Razors, USD, Nizzle Brain Apparel, others that I can't remember off the top of my head. And way back in the day, he made full-length videos as well. I think he did Lords of Movement, Capital Rollers video. I think he had some involvement in Egg or filmed it. I can't remember if he edited it or not. Basically, Jon has got a long and varied history in UK blading, and he's still making stuff to this day. So just want to catch up with him, find out what he's been up to, talk about the new Sam Crofts promo, which was just absolutely awesome. What it was like living with Leon I think he lived with Leon for a year in London, and I think that was after they worked on Devotion, and then they worked on his Go project, Pro Wheel promo. Basically, Jon has got a ton of stories, so I'm sure they have lots of interesting things to say. Me and Jon haven't always got on. In fact, there was a while where he used to give me a really hard time, so we'll probably touch on that at some point. But I've always had a lot of respect for him because he's a character and blading needs more of that. He's outspoken. I don't always agree with what he says, but I admire his bravery to say it. And I just think he makes blading, people like him make blading more interesting. We need characters. We need people that, don't just agree with everyone and just play nice just for the sake of it. We need people that are willing to be controversial, to stand up and voice their opinions. And I think it makes our sport stronger for it. So I can't wait to hear what Jon has to say for himself. Before that, though, cue the music. We're in action. That was
round two.
That was a lot more. That was a lot more plain sailing than the last time where you messed about for about 5 minutes.
So what happens when you haven't had a few beers beforehand?
Okay,
become a bit more coherent, and you're able to do things a bit more, conveniently. But I've got my little rig set up again. I've got some muzzle wheels holding this up, and wires and shit. We should be kosher.
Nice homemade stand.
Right, cheers for letting me do this again. Do I have to explain that I was a bit of a mess last time we did this and probably went over the top with a few things, but hey, that's me in a nutshell after a few beers. So
yeah, it's becoming a theme. First Sam did it, now you did it. I think the next time someone asks me if they can re-record it, I'm just going to lie and say we went live and go, no, you can't, sorry.
Well, you could do that, but I mean, that depends on how harsh you want to be. If you're a drinker and you're from London, you're probably going to be a bit of a mess on a podcast. That's just how it goes. Unless you're fully reserved, in which point you might as well not bother because you're going to be boring. So
right. So are we just to assume that guys from down south are melts and can't handle a drink?
Yeah, something like that.
Speaking of which, I have it on good authority. You're a really big fan of the skateboarder Dustin Dolan. In fact, I'm pretty sure Bower told me a story once about how you and him were both due to go home to your separate houses in London. Or not London, as in you were both in London, you were both due to go home to your families or whatever for Christmas. And you both put it off so that you could watch his episode of Nine Club.
Yeah. We got absolutely hammered. I can't remember the reason. There probably was no reason. We were just at his and we got battered and feeling pretty shit the next morning. And then boom, the logo appears on YouTube with Dolan's face and I think 30 odd bottles of Stella in front of him. We're like, yeah, today let's sack it all off and get straight in here. and he didn't let down. I mean, it was just epic beyond belief. All his stories and all the, like, you know, his life travels through skating and what it's brought to him, highs and the lows. Wicked.
Yeah,
wicked.
He basically drank a box of Stella to himself during that interview. That was wild.
Yeah, they weren't the small boys either. They were the big boys. And there was that point, I think it got a couple of hours in, and it went from like having like 10 or 15 bottles to all of a sudden having like almost double that. And you're like, hold on, what happened in that bit there? Was he too fucked, or?
Yeah.
Because at the end he seemed still quite coherent, but who knows? It's like alcohol, isn't it? You go in and out of waves of talking sense and then talking utter nonsense. So
I just couldn't believe how quickly he was putting them away. Like, I like a drink, but he was like, he was doing it as if there was a time limit.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, alcohol's sneaky like that, and especially if you're having too much of a good time at the beginning, you think it's going to keep on going, and then you'll get you know, a good few in, and then all of a sudden it hits your body, and then boom, you're out. You become a different person.
Yeah. So what is it you and James Bower like so much about Dustin Dolan?
It's just he does everything to the fullest, doesn't he? Like, not just the drinking, but his whole persona is go hard and that's it, and have a good time doing it. He doesn't give a shit, really. So it seems. Or maybe, see, you know, you can say you don't give a shit, but normally those kind of people give too much of a shit about the things they care about. And I think he cares so much that he follows everything through like 200%. Like, just look at his skating. It's all in. Like, the slams he takes are phenomenal, but yet he'll get up and, you know, well, if he can get up, there's a few, you know, this is where he's definitely not getting up because he's knocked out. But do you know what I mean? It's not just skating and drinking, it's everything. He's just passionate, and it shows. So, you know, that's why he's great.
Yeah, he's a wee guy, but he can take a beating. I would not like to get into see someone that can handle that much pain and just like relentlessly get back up. That's not the kind of guy you want to get into a fight with. I imagine if you punched him in the face, he'd laugh.
Yeah, he'd probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
Probably. What else you got? Do you want another one, Conrad? Put it right there.
I think he's the kind of guy that would just keep coming at you, and you'd be like, okay, now you're kind of freaking me out. I'm done here. Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating. Like, you know, you're bringing on this thing about pain, and we touched upon this. I don't want to make things boring, like we're talking about the same things as last time, but touching on pain. You know, we were speaking about the breathing techniques last time, and maybe, just maybe, the way that his body reacts to breathing gives him access to the pain parts of the system in the brain, which then enable him to be able to, like, say, fuck it and get up and get on with it. Or maybe it's the alcohol, maybe it's both, who knows? But yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment, you know, with this whole breathing stuff and how it affects your body and how it affects the endocrine system and all the grey matter parts of your brain that we don't use, that we can now have access to, apparently. So maybe he just has that within him. That's, you know, how many people do you know that can get that fucked up and skate that good and take that many bells and keep doing it for, how old is he? Like 40 odd?
Yeah, but his body's got to be a mess. Let's be honest. Like, it's got to be.
It probably is, but like there have been people that are lesser of a man than he is that can't hack a few drinks for a week or two, let alone doing that daily, consistently skating hard for that long. I mean, it's obviously going to catch up to you at some point. But
that's what I mean. What are the implications going to be when he's older? When he's like 45, he just drops dead from a heart attack? Like,
God knows, but at least he's lived. At least he's fucking lived.
That's true. Yeah.
The memoirs of Dustin Dolan would be very, very interesting. I would definitely buy that.
I'm actually quite surprised he's not had something like that, because he's had like epically latered and stuff like that, but he must have a ton of untold stories. And
yeah, no doubt.
He'd be a moron not to catalogue them in some way.
Maybe that's his retirement fund. He's just, you know, maybe he's chipping away on his typewriter. I'm sure he's got a typewriter. I'm sure he's the type of guy that would have one.
He strikes me as the type of guy that would go full analog. Yeah. Yeah,
because even like his style of editing, when he edits stuff, like I think he did the Baker videos with Reynolds. As far as I know, like
I'm sure I remember him saying that he was responsible for filming and editing like a really huge part of, was it either 2 or 3? Because I remember Andrew was leaning on him quite heavy to get it done. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's quite the artist in his mind and in his fucked up way of viewing things, and I think it's great because look at how well Baker's done. All the Baker videos are done, let alone his 7-day weekend ditties on YouTube and stuff. They're just fascinating. Like there's a lot of wildness, but a lot of knowledge being dropped at the same time. So it's good.
I feel like that, and like you mentioned Baker and like the piss drunks and all that kind of just party hard, skate hard mentality has had like a massive impact on your output, particularly in the kind of like videos that you want to put out. Is that like accurate?
Well, yeah, kind of, but then it all goes hand in hand because like if you're getting pissed up and you're having a fucking wild time with your mates out on skates, well, that's going to be in your videos. It's just going to be as is. It's not just like, oh shit, I've watched Baker, I'm just going to do that now. Like everything that I've always made.
No, I don't mean like that. I just mean as in your and I don't mean as in you saw that and went, oh, I'm gonna imitate that. I mean as in you saw that and went, oh, like that resonates with me. I want to document us doing that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, wow, look, someone's putting something out like that out there with all the pretty dirty, grimy shit. It's inevitable for us not to, for us to do that because we need to, because it's there. It's part of this. It's part of London. It's part of London skating. It's part of skating in general, unless you're, straight edge Tom Heisel lover, if that patient get out, mate. Get out of it, Kevin.
Kevin, oh God. But that's actually quite fun. I need to pull you up about something that it weirdly is like indirectly connected to Kevin, but yeah, I'll mention that in a minute. But most people, when they go, like, so say for example, like me and the boys like a drink, but I never remember to document it. So like say you've been out skating all day and then you go out for beers afterwards or dinner or whatever. Like we do all that, but it's never crossed my mind to like always have the camera on, always keep it rolling, always catch everything, all the funny, dumb stuff you get up to late at night. Whereas you seem to have made a concerted effort to make sure that you get all of it or as much of it as possible. Yeah, but
I don't really do that stuff anymore where it's outside of the skate session because it's a hassle to get the camera out of the bag and set the VX up and all the like there's always drinking going on while skating, so that magic happens whilst the skating happens. I think maybe like years back I'd bothered to get the camera out if it was after hours, but then these days we're getting older and it's not quite the same as when you're young and you're filming all that shit and you can expose that stuff. Nowadays, a lot of us, adults have jobs that we, careers that we respect and they respect us or whatever, and families and so it's not as appropriate to put all that jokes footage out because it may the rest. So as much as I'd like to put some of it out, I can't.
That's fair enough. Weirdly, so I mentioned, I think it was last week, I mentioned to you I loved the clip of, so Alex is in the council estate and the woman's like, that paint cost like £5,000 or whatever to repair, and Alex is like, man, that must be some expensive paint. I went back and watched that the other day, and there's a well better clip in there. There's a clip of so James Bower and Alex Burston are obviously drunk in the underground, and you filmed some of that, but then later at night it looks like they're back at James's house and they're both topless and James is passed out on the sofa and Alex is just writing graffiti on his chest and like colouring in his nipples and writing dirt box in his chest. I was like the like childish teenager in me was just howling with laughter watching that, because like James does not even like blink, he doesn't stir, he doesn't even react to just Alex drawing all over his chest.
No, he was out, man. James was out for the count. I mean, I think that was during summer as well, so you're skating in the city in summer in the city, and you're getting fucked up, you're getting drunk during the day and skating hard. He was done, like he was good to go. We could have done anything. I mean, we could have put some fucking, things on his nipples and electrocuted him and he wouldn't have woken up,
Yeah, it was.
But it was funny because normally I think James would be fucking livid, but I remember the next day he was cool about it, so it was all right. But that's the typical thing with skaters, though. First one falls asleep, that's it. We've got pictures of us terrorizing Tom Sharman, terrorizing. I've probably got footage somewhere, like he's just passed out. and like beer cans all over him and all sorts, and just, but you know, you fall asleep, it's going to happen.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's fair enough.
You know.
Is there, so I've always kind of wondered, like, how much of that stuff has just never came out? Like, how much of that kind of like shenanigans footage have you sat on? Like, that's, I don't know.
Probably loads, man. I mean, I won't bother showing you, but I've got hundreds of tapes, hundreds, everything that I've filmed from the beginning, which has probably got more antics, more really fucked up antics than the newer stuff. But yeah, just loads, because I don't know, just not all of it's appropriate. But maybe some of it is. I prefer, like we were talking about last time, I think my newer style of edits is showing more of the B-roll stuff, which I think is better because it shows the characteristic traits of the person, the kind of jokes we're getting up to, and da-da-da. So when I look back at the older stuff, I think I should have put more of that within, so you get a better vibe of who that person is and what they're about. But you know, when I do have time, when I'm older, I will upload it all tape by tape, you know, and see what happens. As long as it's appropriate for that person. I don't want no, you know,
fallouts, repercussions. Yeah, you can go
unless it was someone a dickhead.
Punish them.
There's plenty of footage of me out there that people have got where they can upload it and it'd be like, "Ooh, shoot!" But you know,
thanks for that. Thanks for that. Just threw me under the bus there.
You play the game, you roll the dice. That's it.
That is the issue. You mentioned it there. I think that's one of the things that I like most about your sections, because that's what I try to achieve with interviews. I want someone to know more about the person after, you know, reading or watching the interview than they did before. I think if I've achieved that, then that's been a success. And I think that's what your sections do. I think, you know, watching Sweet Shin Music with James, I feel like you understand him better as a person after watching that section. And I feel like the same about the Sam Crofts one and the ones you've done with Alex Burston. I think it gives a very vivid insight into their personality that you don't get from their other sections. When it's just their skit, or it's just like the odd little lifestyle clip, you don't really understand them as a person. Whereas with your sections with Alex, you get that Alex is a joker and he's always up for a laugh and he's always smiling and, like, you know, taking the piss. With James, you get that, you know, he can be quite intense and angry and like get into like a hole every once in a while and, like, you know, really like battle a trick and struggle with it, or just the kind of inner turmoil that he has sometimes when he'll just get randomly hurt on something that you wouldn't assume he would normally get hurt on.
Yeah.
With Leon, you see how like meticulous he is and how like his work ethic and that how just, you know, kind of planned out and methodical he is about blading. And then with Sam, you just see that Sam basically thrives under being put under the most intense pressure. Like if you basically tell Sam like you've got one shot, he's like, then it's fucking happening. Like if I only get one shot, I'm only going to need one shot. That's it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like with Sam, it's almost like if it's too calm, he can't. There's not enough for him to focus on that one thing, that one trick or that one spot. It's just you know, it's not there. Whereas you put him under pressure, you put the guards in there, you put the restrictions of COVID in there, you know, you put the fucking crazy King Cock thing in there. We talked about the one at King's Cross, and it's almost like he gets this like boost of like dopamine or something where he can just focus intensely and just get it done. And it happens all the time with him. I think with the most intense tricks, he'll come through.
That's what I always find really weird about him though, because he doesn't give off that vibe of being an intense person. Like anytime I've met him or hung about with him, he's always he's not like, he can be really cheeky and wide when he's had a drink in him, but he's not a particularly intense character or an intense personality. And yet he just and yet, like, because you get certain skaters that if they're not with a group, they can't perform. And then you get certain skaters that unless they psych themselves up for a trick, they can't even bring themselves to try it. Where it just seems as if he's just got this thing in his head where he's like, right, this is like, it doesn't seem like he has to go, right, fuck, this is it, and start, you know, pumping himself up. He just seems to go, no, I've got this, it's happening.
Yeah, it's mad because he doesn't even need to warm up and stuff. Like that day, I think we just went straight to the King. There was no warm up spot. It was like, that's it, we're doing it. And to talk about him as a person, I think Sam's lived, like he's done a lot. He's got his background of, you know, fucked up stuff or whatever. And I think that's made him such a like a rounded character and a rounded person because he's non-judgmental. He'll, you know, I think he is quite hyper and like, he's always talking and shit, you know.
Yeah.
But he's never judgmental. He's never an asshole, unless I guess you're an asshole to him. But I think he'd just rather just be like fuck you and then leave it at that. But he's just an incredible person to skate with and just be around in general. Just to like, okay, what's next? You never bloody know. But again, you talk about being methodical, like with Leon. Sam can be like that as well. Like if he's going into something big, he thinks about it, he plans it. Like, when's the best time to do it? What's the best day? Who's about? Like, we need the right group, the right vibe, and all of that. So he's got his process as well. I think everyone does, really.
Oh yeah, like every skater has. After you've hung about with anyone that skates or tried to film a section with everyone, you realize what works with them and what won't. Like, there's certain skaters you can bully into doing tricks that you know they're capable of. And then there's other people that you know that if they're not feeling it, you leave them alone because otherwise it's only going to end in tragedy. Or there's people that you're like, oh, I have to bring this person out because this person will get the best out of, you know, such and such. And
I don't necessarily agree with that because I think there's a time and a place for everything. And just because that person isn't in the right frame of mind for that trick or that spot on that one day, I don't necessarily go to the next person and go, hey, well, you know, do you want to jump in there and get the trick? It's more like...
Oh, no, I don't mean that. I mean as in there's... So say, for example, you're filming, I don't know, a section with Sam, but then you know there's another skater that can get him, like, hyped up. You know that if he skates with that person, he's going to be on it that day. Like, I've got people that are like that. I know if I just go out filming with them on their own, I'm not going to get as much footage out of them that day as if...
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So, like, the opposite, I guess, would be Bower, which is the less people, the better.
Yeah, he doesn't want... Yeah, exactly. So that's his method. Like, he doesn't want distraction.
Yeah, he doesn't like the pressure of, like... Because obviously there's tons of us out skating all the time in London. It's never a small group. There's someone skating every bloody day in London. There's never a day off when no one's not skating. You know, there's so many skaters there. So when we're going out, and if we're going out filming, he normally would like to do it in a smaller crowd, or we may meet up beforehand, or, you know, thank the Lord for COVID. I say that sarcastically. You know, we had the lockdown and we were able to go out, you know, just us two, and go to spots that we wouldn't normally be able to skate and get a few clips and stuff like that. So yeah, it's each to their own. Everyone's got their own method, and yeah, I can't remember if I was going to touch on something else there or not, but yeah, good. Yeah.
You just said you and James went out during lockdown to film. Is that footage that's not come out yet, or footage that's already been used for Muzzle?
There was stuff on Muzzle. There was stuff on the Muzzle, little 1 minute things. There's some stuff that still hasn't come out that will probably come out in the next few Muzzle things or whatever. But yeah, there were a few clips on there.
All right.
Like he did the roll to gap over the two railings, the bonk.
Yeah.
And then went into the ball. Man, that's I mean, I've said it was the craziest trick I've ever filmed. It's not the craziest. It is crazy. It was just intense. Like, if you clip that first rail, you're getting really, 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 really hurt. You have to go to that spot to see how fucking crazy it is. You have to really commit. And then the bonk afterwards, we were elated after that. It was just because I was so fucking scared of filming him. I think it was the most scariest trick I've ever filmed, I think is what I put the caption as.
It's quite funny because after the interview came out, Al Morris messaged me and he was like, oh, I was there. I was there when he did that. And he was like, I was scared. He was like, I was scared watching. And I'm like, yeah, man. As soon as he sent me that photo, I was like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong there.
Yeah. I think Al didn't even look. From what I remember, until he turned, he couldn't look. And I was just so scared because I was like, pressure was on me because I just wasn't in the best mind last year. Too much fucking bullshit going on. Too much stress. and my focus was not at its peak, and I was just fucking stressing because if my head cut or fucked it up filming Close with a Fisheye, I was just like, I'll never see the, the repercussions of fucking that up. But it came out okay, so yeah, it was cool. It would be nice if it was speed ramped, so you can actually really see all the elements to it. But maybe that will happen at some point. I don't know. But yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. That was a good day. I think that day, yeah, it was. I think we went out 3 days in a row, and I think we got 3 good clips each day, which is like, that's incredible for like myself and James for that to happen,
Are those, I'm sure he touched on this when I spoke to him, and I'm sure he said like those were the days where he like literally got a clip and he was like, right, that's it, we're done for today. He's like, I'm not skating anymore. He's like, I've got the clip, we're done.
No.
Was that those? No.
Because so we got that one, and then just like literally a few meters up the road, I don't even know if the clips come out, but it was like there's this little bank. It's off the floor, so you have to jump onto it. And then there was like a wooden boarded off part of the building, and he launched up. He jumped up onto the bank fakie, and then did like a double toe wall ride to 180 out. It was really cool.
The Euston Station one, was that?
Yeah.
I've seen the photo, yeah, but I don't think the clips came out yet.
I can't remember the other trick that he did that day. I can't remember the others. My memory's so bad, but yeah, he definitely got more than 1 clip per day on that, on those few days. Normally it's like get a couple of clips if we can, and then week off because it's like body's fucked, got too drunk or something, or had too much of a good time. But yeah, no, those were a few good good days last year.
Yeah. He's been skating for years now, so the body just does hurt more, especially after you've been pushing yourself at something that's either more mentally intense or takes an absolute beating to get. Thinking, in my opinion, you've made James's best section, Sweet, fucking can I get this wrong every time, Sweet Shin Music, Leon's best section, Devotion, and arguably one of Sam, if not one of Sam's best sections for his new Aeon promo. Have any of the guys came to you afterwards and been like, I think that's the best section I've ever made?
I can't remember. I think Leon might have. I don't remember if Sam said that or not, or James. I can't remember. All I know is that we just have a good time making them. And if they get received well, I'm always shocked. I'm always like, fuck, that's crazy, because I'm very pessimistic with myself. I think I'm pessimistic in general. I try and be optimistic, but I'll put a lot of my stuff down, I guess, in a way. But I have my reasons. I have my OCD reasons. I have this like perfectionist kind of ideology in my head of how something's going to be, and it never really comes out that way. But yet, like, I just looked at Sam's promo for his new pro skate, and it's got 25k views, and I'm like, what? That's mad. And there's only a few really like funny negative remarks on the comment section which crack me up every single time, and you know what they're going to be. So there's got to be some.
Let me guess. Someone's mentioned something about VX footage, because someone always has to say that. Someone always has to.
I can't remember
why did they film?
Someone saying about his tight trousers or something. They probably did. Someone probably did say something about VX, and they can go to hell for that. But if they don't understand what it is, again, off you go.
I always just find it really funny when people are like, "Oh, this is like shit. It's like standard definition." And I'm like, "But you know that before you've watched it. You don't need to watch the section to know that it's standard definition. So see if you don't like that, don't watch it.
If you don't like it, mate, go buy an HD cam, go make some shit, send it to me, and I'll give you a round of applause, because it'll probably be good. Like, more people need to be doing that. So more people need to be buying cameras, and more people need to be experimenting and doing stuff, right? Because we're seeing a lot of the same old shit coming out over and over again, and the same old faces. And it's like, don't wait for a cameraman to like come film you. Like, actually, cameramen these days are just filming their mates, because that's how it is. You go out with your mates, probably somewhere along the line, one of your mates is going to be like, cool, maybe we should start filming some shit because we're actually, you know, doing something quite unique here. And then, you know, put it out, man. Let's see some new faces. Let's see who's the oh shit, what's his name? See, again, this is my dementia coming in now, I'm sure of it. Sean Collett, is it? He's on the OMG clothing on my grind. You seen him?
I don't think so.
You haven't. You're missing out, man. That guy, that man is just slaying. He's got the incredible style. He's got all the tricks, and it's just fucking good to watch. I mean, I'd love to see a full street part or something, you know, with some dudes putting some time in with him. But he's killing it. And, you know, there's loads of European guys that are just smashing it, like unheard. But that's the thing. We're in this skate community of it's just one big clique. It's like it's more about who you know than what you can do and all of that. And that's bullshit. It's bullshit. We went into this a bit last time. Like, the skate industry is just not good. It's not good. It's not. We just accept things for how they are because everyone's so bloody desperate for skating to be a success or like to make a living from it or And it's just like, cool. Yeah, Danny Beer got 30 grand or whatever. Yeah. But how about you give them a fucking wage? How about you give people a wage? Like, give them that pro model stuff as well. But cut the teams down completely. Stop giving out with the free shit because there's way too much free shit floating about. You know, make people respect and earn that position of being a pro. Make sure they're a professional person as well. You know, there's so many pros that just aren't pro. And, you know, what is the definition of a pro? Well, to me, when I'm watching all this pro stuff happening that's coming out in the media and the outlets, it's like, cool, he can skate, yeah, but that's it. That's it. Is there interactions? Is there stuff going on? Is this person exciting? What do they do outside of skating? You know, look at Joe Atkinson. He's a dude that is, in my standards, professional because he's out there. He's mingling with people. He's doing ticking all the boxes. But my man just ain't hooked up. But he's got his reasons why not.
I was going to say that's not through lack of opportunity. That's through his choice.
No one's bringing to the table, right? And he may not agree with this. It may not be in his opinion. But if someone came to his table and was like, cool, we're going to put you on an annual wage, yeah? We're going to pay for your medical insurance. We're going to make sure that you get your day's holiday, or, you know, we pay for certain things. We'll hook you up. You know, we'll have a team manager and it will put you to PR events and stuff like this. Whatever. Do things properly professional. Not professional standards in you know, skater-owned companies. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, man.
I do think it's quite... Yeah, there's definitely some negative trends in blading, and it's kind of interesting that with them just being transparent about royalties, everyone... Like, it's a great...
Everyone jumps for joy and goes, whoa!
No, that's what I mean. But it's like, everyone's like, oh, this is incredible. This is so good. And I agree, it is. But it should also have been happening years ago, and if not even years ago, possibly even decades ago. Like, the only way until the past couple of years that we found out what skaters got is when they got fired and they were disgruntled and they told someone in an interview. Before that, no one ever, and everyone kept it a secret. Even skaters kept it from each other. Like, I interviewed Dustin Werbeski, and he was like best mates with Richie Eisler. And him and Richie never had a conversation about what royalties they got. And like, Dustin had no clue. When he actually started getting paid as a pro skater, he was like, I had no frame of reference. He's like, because no one was willing to talk about money or what they got. So if everyone's keeping it a secret and there's no transparency, then it just allows more skaters to get screwed over. And there's just as many skaters screwing over companies as there is companies screwing over skaters.
Well, good. I hope skaters are fucking over the companies. It's because companies should know, like, they're the ones that should be the professional. We're skaters. We're not business people.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways.
Deserve.
You can't say skaters are supposed to be professional and then turn around and go, oh, don't expect us to be professional.
Come on, mate. You would take that with a bit of sarcasm. But we're not business minded people. We are skaters, right? And what I meant in the term of a skater being professional is actually mingling with the communities, going out and maybe doing skate lessons, maybe doing talks, maybe going to, you know, these big music festivals, whatever it may be. I mean, that's a bit exaggerated, but if the chance was available and you had a PR manager or something that was like, cool, we're going to get skating here, there, and everywhere. That's what I meant about professional. But as a skater, you want to get what you fucking can out of a company, because you're the voice, you're the face, you're everything for that, you know. And likewise, they need to treat fucking videographers and editors with that same dignity and respect as well. Because without people, you know, I'm not going to say myself, but people like Ivan or Greg or whoever, City Life, whatever, you know, the filmers
Ivan
are what makes the
Who's
company
Ivan?
what it is. Huh?
Did you just say Ivan?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Who?
Nares.
Ivan Nares, right. I was like, Ivan.
Even
right, okay.
whatever, I don't know how you pronounce his name. But what I'm saying is that like the people that are filming, the people that are editing are creating an image as such, and, you know, going out there and filming all of this, everything, not just the skating, the environments and everything, creating this feeling, this vibe, which is then, you know, people relate to it and want to buy into that. But, you know, as a person that has filmed stuff specifically for promotional for companies or whatever, the offerings are pretty shit. And normally if I'm doing it for a mate or a mate's company, I'll do it for nothing anyway, because I'd rather see them sell that product and make some money than me have it and then use it or not use it and just sell it on. It just doesn't bode for me. But yeah, I don't know.
But you've said that you believe skaters are undervalued and not, you know, compensated for their skills. So if skaters are undervalued, what hope in hell do filmers and photographers have?
Exactly. It's a mugs game. And I did a post on that on my Instagram a while back about how we just get mugged off. We get mugged off constantly. And skate companies are mugging off skaters. And that's it, really. I think, you know, but the thing is that we get too fucking comfortable with all of this because there's been nothing for a while, and then all of a sudden there's something and everyone jumps for joy. It's like, nah, don't settle for that. You know, again, like, you don't need a team that's so big. There's no need. You don't need umpteen riders on your team. Settle down for 3, man. Give them everything they deserve. Yeah, put them at the top of the food chain there, and just and then you've got someone to praise to. Like, you could have, oh man, there's so much you could do with that. But then everyone feels like, oh, he's worthy of this, he's worthy of that, and and you get this egocentrical thing, and then everyone's getting some free shit, passing it on to their mates, selling it on to their mates, and then none of that money that could be made from that is going back into the industry. And I see that with my own 2 eyes all the time, and I take advantage of it all the time, because why the fuck wouldn't I? You know, why am I going to spend 35 quid on a set of wheels from a skate shop when my mate is going to sell them to me or give them to me? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Fuck skate shops anyway. So.
Oh, we're getting onto that later. I definitely want to ask you about that, because I remember that coin. But
yeah,
from the company's perspective, having a team that small is really bad for the numbers game, because having a bigger team is an implication of power. And if you've got a big, strong team, and they may not be getting compensated correctly or getting the right wages, but from an aesthetics point of view, it makes the company look good. Like, if they've got, you know, a team of 10 heavy hitters, even if those 10 people are not getting paid well, the company don't care if they're not getting paid well, because it looks great that they've got this big, strong team of pros.
If Public Joe over here,
it sucks for the skater. The skater's getting shortchanged
the way they should, then that ain't working. Everyone knows that there's no money in blading, but there is. It's just handled wrong, you know, and it's not compensated well for the people that are daily putting their lives on the line, having a good time, obviously. But there's a lot of risk going on there at the same time. And at the end of the day, if Brosco broke his back or something, that's it. What does he get out of it? You know, what happens to people that lose a limb, or God knows, worst case scenarios, you know, brain damage or something like that? And all for the sake of what? A set of 4 wheels. Cool.
But that goes back to your point. Like, if the model you suggested was used in a skate company only had 3 pros, and one of them was Brosco, and Brosco broke his back, well, they're screwed. Now they've only got 2 pros, and they've got 2.
Well, no, look, this is going to sound bad, but there's more people out there, right? But my point is that what does Brosco then get out of it? Like, has he got medical insurance? Because I've heard in America, you don't really get that because it's expensive. So at least if he had like something really bad, the company to be like, right, we've got a contract, an actual fucking contract, which I've heard is pretty unseen in the skate industry, that says, you know, that has the life insurance, medical insurance, to make sure that, you know, regardless of the injury, he can live somewhat of a comfortable life for the remainder of his life. Do you see what I mean? There's got to be something within that.
But how expensive would that be, and could the company afford to do that?
Well, I don't know. See, I don't know. I don't know what's realistic or not. But all I can think about is, at least if you cut the riders down, like, why do you need 50 riders on razors? It makes no sense, because your pros aren't getting a pro skate, let alone getting paid for it. Your man's having to pay for everything to go out there and film the promo for it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So At least I think it would be a start to head in that direction. But what do I know, man? What do I know?
I think I'm in a weird position where I do just try and see it from both people's perspective. And I get what you're saying. Some companies have had teams that are just ridiculously big, and it makes no sense. It makes no sense having a sponsored skater in every city, which Razors essentially did have at one point. But on the other side of that, I very much remember being really invested in magazines and media and stuff like that growing up, and reading all the stories about pro skaters who were getting paid salaries and were doing fuck all in return for it. So, you know, someone's paying them, and it may not be that much, but it was like, you know, Billy mentioned it in his episode of Platform. He was injured for a year, and USD continued paying him for a year, and they're getting nothing in return. And I get it, like, he's grateful for it, and it's great for him, but the company's getting fucked.
But yeah, and great. I think that's great that he got it, because I'm sure in most circumstances he probably wouldn't. But that's at the point where, well, look, you should have a contract stipulating certain things. I don't know if he did or not, but, you know, if USD have got the money to keep paying him for that time where they're getting nothing out of him, fair fucking play. That's how it should be. You sponsored a guy, he's injured really severely badly. You should keep paying him if you want to keep him on the team. That's just how it goes. You've got to take the rough with the smooth.
And he was an extreme example, and it wasn't through laziness, but there were definitely other riders on USD at that time who had the pro status, who had the skates, and were not producing the sections. Like there was people that during that period could not finish a section just because they either kept getting injured or they were just getting wasted too much.
Well, maybe there was more to it as well, because there's no like black and white. There's always a bit of a grey area. Maybe like, because I remember when Sean Kelso, I think it was, he had issues with USD in the conference because they were saying, "Where's your shit? Where's your stuff?" And he was stacking. He was working on. It was the something special.
Or was it? Oh, it was for KC Mo.
I think it was too. I've got a feeling it was true.
It was either. I remember both him and Colin were because they were like, "Where's your online edits?" And they're like, "We're not doing online edits. We're doing a full length video that's basically advertising your products."
Yeah. And respect for that. Because and respect for sticking, his ground with that, because it's not. It's like with Eugen, he's fucking phenomenal, right? But it's washed, man. Like, I've seen he puts up too much stuff too consistently, so you don't see a gradual, you don't see it like the change in his skating. It's just, you don't really notice it because it's constantly there. Whereas if you put some solid shit out every like 3 months or something, you notice the shift change in his tricks and everything, but you constantly see his progression basically daily. So it doesn't make it exciting anymore. And I get it, like the more content out there, the company thinks, yeah, cool, but actually it takes away from that the special intricate details of the progression of his skating, because you don't really notice it when there's just so much of it being flooded, and some people want to put out special parts because it means something to them. It's not just we're doing this as a fucking job. It's this means a lot to me. I want to put my heart and soul and passion into it, and that's why my hat goes off to the Kelsos for sticking up, for sticking to their beliefs with that.
How much of that
you could say the same with Bower as well. When we did Sweet Chin Music, it was like, cool, we just put he put loads of effort and thought and love into that, and it just wasn't right. It just wasn't right, to the point where he was like, well, sod raisers, because why am I going to represent someone that just doesn't pay me any respect?
Yeah, when he said that they weren't they didn't really react to that section or promote it. I was kind of shocked because, yeah, he released this epic section for free that he'd worked on for what seemed to be, 2 years, maybe more.
Yeah.
And they just didn't even seem to acknowledge it, which is kind of wild considering it's just a massive promo for their skates.
Yeah, I mean, the logos are in there, skating them constantly fucking good and da-da-da. And it's like, wow, sort that.
But going back to your point, like, I get what you mean. Like, there are certain skaters who it feels like they've got new stuff every day, even if it's only like a 30-second clip or an Instagram thing, and it feels oversaturated. And I get it from that perspective because obviously I come from the same generation as you, where we waited for VHSs to come out or we waited for DVDs to come out, and there was massive leaps in progression. But I also have to see it from someone's perspective that's maybe 15 years younger than me, or, you know, or like 12 or 13 or 15.
Well, they got a lot to learn.
But then maybe it's just a different climate now, and people do want everything and they do want it now. Like, for example, see when like a new section, like obviously, well, we kind of get spoiled recently because Stuart Bratty brought out that thing last week that just blew my bald head off. But I'm kind of starting to get to the point where it's like, oh, a mind-blowing section didn't come out this week. Well, that's kind of shit. Yeah. It's been a slow week. And I'm like, why am I feeling this way? But that's because that's how we're conditioned to expect everything now and expect everything to be great. And when it's not great and it doesn't come out regularly, we get all pissed off. But then at the same time, we're saying shit like, why are people flooding us with all this crap? Why can't they just take their time and give us a good section once a year?
It's all I get what you're saying, man. It's what's the word? It's all subjective, and I think you nailed it when you were saying, you know, like these younger guys, 12, 15, they want that boom, 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 boom. I need it. Yeah. So Eugen serves a very specific purpose with that, alongside others. I don't like to just name Eugen. There's plenty more.
We don't. All right, Sam Crofts does it as well. Sam brings out new shit like every week, whether it's a product review or something. He's right. So he's a clip phenomenal. Also, he's a pro, and he wants to do that stuff. But at the same time, it's not like it's a daily thing or it's just in your face and constantly the same. It's like stuff in London is so diverse and unique and specific, and all the architecture and all of that you can't really get that bored of the stuff that Sam does, because it's he
not
posts
really
a lunchtime clip every day.
Does he? Or maybe I don't watch all that shit.
He skates that DIY park in Hackney, and it's not every day, but it's like several times a week.
I don't know, man, but yeah, I'll eat my words with that one then. But I think, like, sorry, going back to it, let's have a little laugh. I'm full of contradictions.
We all are.
I'm a nightmare. But let's put it this way. You know, you were saying that the specifics of like a 12 to 15-year-old would want that daily fucking buzz. Us older guys in the generation, you know, we've been through it. I think we put a lot more respect into the people that are putting their time and effort and all that love into something more solid that is, you know, not going to be forgettable. At least we hope, or you know, that'll stay in your mind, like how fucking amateur things like that just constantly stay in my mind. Yet you go into the era of like mid 2000s, and I couldn't name you a trick out of Ego, Accidental Machines, or any of those kind of videos, because it was just kind of not there, not that special. And then especially with all the newest stuff, I just don't even know, man. I don't even watch half the stuff anymore now. I used to, but I've just given up.
I don't know why I said 12 to 15-year-olds, because there's bugger all 12 to 15-year-olds in Bladen. But even the majority of the people between 25 and 35, they still expect that as well. They're still like, where's the new banger of a section this week?
There is a lot of younger skaters out there, man. It's just we don't really skate with them or don't know about them. Like, skates are being sold. I'm seeing a lot of skaters out and about. Like, I went on a skate earlier, and a bike ride as well. And there is rollerbladers in town, skateboarders in town. Like, stuff's picking up again, man.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's looking healthy. You know, take that on board. Companies
they're there, but they're
with that money that you're making.
they're in the minority. Yeah. So, but then it's like, how do you find the balance for that? Because, you know, I genuinely believe it is really hard to make an iconic, memorable section now, because even if it is great, there's nothing to stop it being lost in the internet ether after a week or 2 weeks. And that's if it's really good. That's if people keep sharing it and rewatching it.
So that's something that's really cool that you brought on actually at the moment, because today, fucking awesome. Skateboard company based in Dill.
Jason Dill, yeah.
Yeah, so Louis Lopez just dropped a new part, Days of Grace, and it's phenomenal. And that's something I'm going to be returning to over and over and over again. And, I was watching it, I was going, fuck, this is just so good. It's blown everything out of the water. And everything FA puts out, normally gets that reaction by me. So what made me feel that way? Well, for a start, the filming was just absolutely insanely good. The spot selection and everything, but when you break it down, and I think this is what made Sam's section good, is the music and the tricks when they were edited to the music and the specific points of the music to exacerbate that moment. I think whoever edits these FA parts is just an absolute genius. Like my favorite filmer, there's loads of people filming it, but favorite editor, because the music is just, I think pretty much all of it that they ever use has very minimal lyrics, or if it has got lyrics, it's probably from like some music from decades ago, some old soul or Motown, that good feeling, you know what I mean? Or it's totally weird and totally instrumental, and you're like, whoa, this is, touching my brain in different spots where I've never felt before. So, and just FA's whole image and, background story and everything is just wicked. It's just got so much depth to it. So I think that is what makes a good part, is doing something that's quite unique, not just a skate section with skate tricks or just, or it oozes with style, or it's just rugged. It's like there's so many elements bringing together as one. Oh, and that's the other thing, like, the B-roll type footage that they pick up while filming in the FA stuff is just wicked. There's so much random weird shit going on. Bill Stroback, especially, when he's filming for Supreme, or just what he's filming in general, he normally has the right moment, like he's filming the trick and then just suddenly stops on the guy being totally berserk. It's just fascinating. It's what makes it, I think. For me, anyway, that's why I return to videos, skate stuff, because it's just something that tickles the brain a little bit more than usual.
So are there so you mentioned skateboarding sections that you've seen online that you keep returning to, but there's no blading sections that you've seen online like recently that spring to mind that you return to and you keep watching?
I watched Up to No Good the other day. I love Jalord's part. Love it. The song, the skating. He does these little gestures. It's brilliant. I love it. It's good. It's really good. So it's Up to No Good. And then
Jordan Williams, it really annoys me how little you see of Jordan Williams. I would love to see him produce just 2 big sections a year, or even just 1 big set. It feels like you only ever get like a minute of him, or like a minute and a half of him, and it's very annoying. Yeah. Yeah,
he's unique, isn't he? He's got that special thing with his skating and his spot selection. But I think that, again, because it's not like you're saying there, you don't see enough. And I think that's what's great about it, because you don't see enough. You want to see more. But if you saw him all the fucking time, it'd be like, oh, it's just another Jordan part. Do you know what I mean?
All the time. There has to be a middle ground. There has to be a not oversaturated, but enough that you're satisfied.
Job, man. All the best skaters, in my opinion, never put out enough, or not even near what they should do. Like, you're looking at Brandon Campbell, you're looking at Nick Prattarelli, Matt Gallagher. Like,
Brandon Campbell had a ton of sections.
Yeah, but it's never enough. Never enough. The sections were always short, like real short.
But that's because he always broke himself off, because the guy was a lunatic.
Oh yeah, an absolute legend. But again, there are certain skaters that never got that shine that they should have, and I never understood why. But hey ho, like Brian Jaggers, for example, again, like, you never got to really see, I think, what his true potential self was within blading. You saw little bits here and there, and you were like, damn, that is fucking incredible.
I always thought it was really weird that he was brother-in-law with Josh Petty, yet Josh Petty became massive and never brought Brian Jaggers along for the ride. Like, you would think, like for example, Jeff Frederick got Jimmy Shura hooked up with Senna, and basically,
Well, it's not like everyone just wants to be a pro skater or wants that kind of fame or recognition. Like maybe he was just like, nah, dude, I'm doing my thing. Like
I don't know.
I'm getting like
He was
some
always in Daily Bread. He was sponsored by Jethro. Like Brian Jaggers seemed like he wanted it. He seemed
I
hungry.
don't know. But that's it then. So why not? So why did that not happen? We
Exactly.
just don't know. I mean, maybe he had a taste and then that was it. I mean, the only person that comes to my mind with that kind of instance was James Moore, which was he wasn't that bothered, and then he got put on USD, and I think it all just got fucked up for him, and he stopped skating. He didn't like the recognition. I remember going to Peterborough skate park one time, and kids were coming up, and he was like, "Nah, this ain't good. Like I want to skate, but I can't focus. I can't do what I want to do." And da 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 da. So yeah, man, it's just. Maybe it just wasn't for him. Maybe it was, or maybe he just was like, "Cool, you want to put me on your team? I'm just going to do me, and you've got to accept that."
Plus,
Who knows?
he was of the era where the skaters were dropping like flies. Even skaters that were getting recognition and getting on teams and stuff like that. That was the era where, yeah, there was so many people, and you're like, "Oh God, they've got so much potential." Or I'm so excited to see more from them, and then they just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Well, he rode the crown for sponsors in a way. I mean, he was sponsored by Jethro. I mean, I owned a few pairs of Jethro cargos and stuff, and they were the tits, man.
And I never knew until long after Daily Bread that Angie Walton that Jethro was basically a Daily Bread company. I thought it was just an independent, clothing deal.
I think I've actually got like I've still got my Jethro fucking.
No way. Yes.
Yeah, man. Does it? I think it says something in the tag as well. I always love this stuff about the old school shit because Medium always had on one of their lines. I think it said "Made in the USA, land of the free, home of the homeless." Nice. And that's so true, especially right now. But I'm just saying, I think.
Well, Medium was made in the same office as Senate, so it makes sense that they would do the similar.
So it says on here, it says, warning, washing your clothes has a tendency to make them look worn out and old. Not washing them has a tendency to make them smell weird. Whether or not to wash them is a decision you will have to make on your own. I love that kind of shit.
That is good. That is, yeah.
So yeah, that one gets a bit of respect and goes on a hanger rather than folded up in a drawer.
That's like people that hang on to that stuff I'm very envious of because I lost count of the amount of like stuff I had those, don't know if you remember them, the Medium anti-rocker wheels, Medium Worlds, and they were basically made to look like globes and they were like bluey, marbly, and I'm like, why did I get, you just lose stuff, or like you'll lose one wheel so you'll just get rid of all of it because you're like, well, it's no longer functional. And I was just that person. I just, whenever something like stopped being useful, I got rid of it. And now I'm looking back on it going, there was all this cool shit that I had that no one will ever see again. Yeah.
Man, and those were the days when they came in the box as well, that cardboard box with the see-through. But man, the detail on that is so good. No, Mark Treble done really well, like putting the packaging on that new line. That's again, it's the little things that count. The Bootan box or the old Senate came in the Chinese takeaway box. Yeah. Sick, so sick. But yeah, mate, I used to have like an extensive collection years back, like 2007, I guess. Like I had a lot of Cosmo. I had the Senate Crayolas in the box, brand new, like brand new. All this stuff, like clothing, like, and I had to sell it all. It wasn't a choice because that was when my ex-wife was pregnant and shit, and we had to go to California to live. So I was like, "School, gotta go." I think Blake bought the majority of it.
Wait, what? I was under the impression you lived with your partner and your daughter in the UK. You all lived together in the States.
For a year. So we went and moved into just south of LA for just, I think it was a year. Because she wanted to have the birth over in California where her family was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you married?
Yeah. We had to. Because I was about to say, it wasn't feasible for me to be able to like live over there and work over there. There was too much going on, and there was too much. Yeah, it just wasn't working. So in order for her to be able to come back here as a citizen, we had to get married. So we got married over there, then applied for the remain to leave visa over here, and yeah, and that was that.
So did you work when you were in America, or were you just over there staying for a year?
I did under the table a bit.
Right.
Her dad owns a company. So yeah, I was working under the table for a bit, and then shit didn't work out. Then we moved out of our parents and moved into LA, into a nice little Mexican bungalow, which was probably haunted. It was a bit of a weird experience. And then money ran out, so it was like, cool, let's go, let's get hitched, let's go back to the UK. And that was that.
I'm sure she loved that. I'm sure she loved moving from California, where it's summer all year round, to moving to Reading.
Dude, no. She. I think she wanted to. It's like, you know, we all think of like California as the dreamland and all of this and Dude, it's like home is where the heart is, I think. But saying that, I don't think her heart was necessarily in California at that point. I think there was a lot going on for her there that was quite negative. And the thought of trying something new in another country was a good idea, but unfortunately for her, she's got her demons, and you know, things didn't work out. So that's that.
The story that you told me of that is just utterly wild. I still,
yeah. I'm not going to tell it this time around, man, because I don't think it's a viable idea. But you know about it. Certain people know about it, and we'll leave it at that.
You've just lived, and some of the stories you tell me, I'm just like, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing you read about. It's not the kind of thing that you just expect.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people it, and they're like, "What?" And some people don't even believe me. And
that's what I mean. It's the kind of story that if someone told you, you'd be like, "You're lying."
Mate, I've had to whip out some of the evidence and be like, "Well, look, this is it, mate," and they'll be like, "Fuck," you know. But that's just how it goes, you know. And the things are okay at the moment between us. Like, we're cool, we're civil. And like I said, we've all got our issues in life. We all do. And I think she's doing a lot better for herself now. So let's hope so.
Okay. We've strayed wildly off topic.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Sam promo, because I was noising Sam up about it, asking why you guys have never filmed a section before, and he just came out with the whole like crap, like, oh, it's just never worked out, like schedules. Whereas I decided in my head that it was because Sam's like the business guy and does all the promos, and he's like, I'm, Sam for USD Skates, and I just thought in my head that you were like, no, that's bullshit. I don't stand for that, so I'm not filming a section with him. But then you filmed his promo for his pro skate.
What do you want me to say?
I want to know why you never filmed a section with him before, because you guys have hung out with each other for years.
No, it's because Tom was local. Tom lived down the road from him. Like, it was good and convenient. I think that Sam was only given a short amount of time for doing promos before, so it wasn't really viable for me to journey up and do all this stuff between work and all of this other stuff that was going on at the time. So yeah, I think that's why. And then this promo, he was giving a lot longer time, and then because of COVID and because of delays with the shipment of the skates, gave us a bit more time. So yeah, that's why he was like, well, cool, now I've got the opportunity. Let's go. Let's give it a go.
So what was it like filming with Sam compared to like the other guys that you filmed with? Was it any different, or like? Yeah,
they're all different.
In what way?
It's never like, cool, we just go out and film and that's it, like with every single person.
That's what I mean. So what's because everyone's got their quirks. So what was specific to Sam?
I don't know, man. It's not. There's nothing really specific with Sam. It's always kind of. I mean, if there's a like we'll talk about the kink again. The kink hop kink, that was planned because it had to be planned. Do you know what I mean? We had to plan that, but otherwise, it's kind of like cool. We'll hear of a new estate and we'll be like, cool, we'll go there and see what we can get. Otherwise, it's just, let's see what's happening. Or someone else like James may have a trick in mind at a spot to go and film. We'll go to there and then Sam will see something on the way or da-da-da. With Sam, it's a bit more spontaneous, I guess, in a way.
Okay. Yeah, I think things like that, it's kind of surprising how well you get to know someone when you go out filming with them. Like, so for example, like I've had people up here to film with, and I'm like, oh, like you're a lot cooler than I thought you'd be, or people that I thought I knew quite well, and then I tried to film a section with them, and I'm like, wow, I did not realize you're a psychopath. Like you lose your shit. Like this is to the point where sometimes it's like, this is uncomfortable. Like this is kind of embarrassing. Like they'll just, I don't know, they'll just start screaming and smashing the place up, and you're like, we're in public, man, chill out.
Well, yeah, that sounds like Leon. But I think you got to understand the situation of that moment. Like your mate is going in, like he's got a vision, he knows what he wants out of it, but then takes a beating or something, and then the screaming occurs or something occurs, hitting the floor or whatever, smacking yourself in the head, whatever it may be, or getting a beer, whatever it may be. But you know, as you being the filmer, you've got to support that person in their time of need. Like mentally, you've got to bring that energy back and give them some faith and some hope, whatever that may be. So yeah, you can go out with certain people, and that's when you really start to see who they are, because that moment when shit didn't go to plan, when they've taken the dead leg, that's when their true self comes out, like the true power within, doesn't it? So yeah, it's cool. But I think as a filmer, you have to back that person 200% until they get it, or until they can't walk. Unless they back out, at which point, because they're light on the edge, and you're like, nah, dude, like I've got the feeling that this is not going to get any better. Let's call it a day. Yeah. Your mind's obviously not in the right place. We had to do it with Sam a few times, you know. He tried at the London Bridge, the point where Ollie Short did a bunch of stuff, tried to go up and then wall ride up the thing, then in spin 360 out over the
he told me about this,
up to the drop, got close a few times, but then did one where he clips the edge of the down bit of the edge and almost ate shit. I think he got bruised heel. And it was just like, dude, like he wasn't feeling, his mind wasn't in the right place. He wasn't feeling it. It was like, no, let's call it, because you take one more of them and it could be, you know, broken bones or whatever. So
yeah, plus
analysing, risk assessing, seeing what's going on.
Plus when you get tired, then you're concentrating less, and that's when it can start to go one error can go really, really wrong. But I just kind of think
same thing happened with filming. You know, if your mind's not there, you can fucking clip up, or you may not get it. I mean, there's a bunch of shit in the Sam's promo. I'm just like, why did I film it like that? But I know what it is. It's because I hadn't been sleeping properly. I was under a lot of stress, and my creativity wasn't there. My vision wasn't there. So it's to say you can apply that for anything in life, really, I guess.
Yeah. It's just quite funny that, like, I feel sometimes filmers will learn more about the person that they're filming a skate section with than maybe even a family. Like, you'll know things about that person that maybe even a member of their family doesn't know. Like, a member of their immediate family is like, I don't know, just never seen someone act that way, or because they've never seen that person in that situation or responding to that stimulus or that negativity or that euphoria or whatever. And it's kind of weird that, you know, just as a person that you've met through skating, you potentially have a better insight into their personality than their brother or sister.
Yeah, man, skating's a drug. It can elate you, it can degrade you, it can do all sorts to you, man. Like this, it'd be like, you know, you took your family member out and they saw you laced it like what Sam did, the King Cop, they'd think, what the fuck are these guys like just been doing a bunch of coke or something? Do you know what I mean? They're just elated. They're like, whoa, fuck yeah, let's go. Do you know what I mean? It's the same equivalence, in my opinion, that or even like, you know, you get the lows and someone's just going psycho and just, you know, screaming, shouting, all this stuff in the middle of a high street. You know, it's the same equivalent. It's like you've come way, way far away from your baseline.
Yeah. Sam was
brilliant.
even. Sam
but yeah,
even,
you do get a lot more.
Yeah, Sam said it in his episode of Platform. He was like, "Yeah, I showed the section, and my dad saw it, and my girlfriend saw it, and they were both." They know what I do. They know what I'm capable of, and they know about, you know, the injuries and stuff over the years. But when they saw him do the gap at the end, they were like, "No, that's not cool. That is not like you put your life in danger there. We're not happy about that." And apparently, both his dad and his girlfriend were pissed at him for it.
Yeah, I mean, but we scoped that a few times. It is literally a death gap. We called it the death gap for a reason.
It looks at when you
Yeah,
sent
I
me
mean, you go
that
down,
before it came
down
out,
that dock, bouncing off the walls. It's like Homer Simpson. The Simpson, he goes off the cliff on a skateboard or whatever, and he's bouncing all the way. It's but it was risk assessed, man. It was funny because the size of the gap was the size of a gap of a like a bicycle pathway. So he's jumping that first. We're like, yeah, mate, you cleared that. It's like barely. And the thing is with the death gap as well, the railing is higher than when you left, so you really have to like huck over that thing. And you could see his face afterwards. Like he did go white in the face, and he was just like, "Fuck!" Like he was just like drained. It was crazy.
Drained, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was a cool experience. And then you had that homeless guy at the end. The camera zooms in on him, and he said he used to skate. So it's just like, cool. Well, we're still doing it, mate. You know, he's telling me about Majestics. I had Majestics on. It was cool.
Yeah, it's so random when stuff like that happens. We were out filming a couple of weeks ago, and this guy just stopped with his girlfriend across the street. And you get like the have a go hero, and you get someone that's like, you shouldn't be just mind your own fucking business. Like if it's not your property or your job, shut your mouth. Like just move on. Man. But this guy was just like kind of. Yeah, it was like he was paying proper attention. And then he just came over and he's like, "So which one of you guys is going to drop a topsoil on it?" And I was like, "Holy shit!" You know when just a complete stranger just like goes, drops the blading knowledge on you, and I was like, "Oh," and yeah,
what's all about. I've got a couple of those stories. Dave, I've got to go piss, man.
Go for it.
Do a spiel or something. I don't even know what a spiel is.
Do spiels,
but I'll be
go
back
for it.
Sorry about that.
And he's back, and he's got water. He's hydrated.
Yeah, man, I'm drinking loads of it. Because like I said, I went on a big bike ride and a skate earlier, so I'm just like pretty dehydrated.
What we're talking, random stories with public interaction.
So the other day I was out filming with Sam, Wembley. Geezer comes up like probably like 60 odd or something, quite stocky, fag in his mouth. Looks quite eccentric with his clothing style. Then he comes up, he's like, talking about the skating, and he says he used to be like this world professional, like ballet, not like ballet dancing on skates, but he was some kind of dancing skater. And we were like, oh yeah, and he's like, yeah, I've got a picture of me with like Prince Charles here. We're like, yeah, cool, man. And he whips out his phone, and he actually does. He was like skating, and there's Prince Charles with him. So we filmed that. It was quite funny. You had the guy, Dustin Latimer, the backslide that Bower did in the 5789 promo Dirtbox edit.
Yeah.
Does the backslide at the end on that drop rail. And the guy at the bottom was just watching. And then James was about to give up, and the guy was like, dude, you should keep going. Like, I used to skate, and then he was like, he mentioned Dustin Latimer, and then obviously that gave James the juice to get back up there and do it. He's like, well, fuck, man, I've come here to do that based upon a backslide that Dustin Latimer has done, and then he did it.
Oh, I need to show those clips back to back actually, so that people can see, James's backslide and the Dustin one from Coup d'etat, because it was
sick, man. And then, there's the obvious one that was in Devotion, where Leon did the drop in, come at the other side, and the topsoil down. And, that's the third time we've been there. He was gassed, like it was a hot day. He was wearing that thick ass shirt as well, flannel shirt. And it was like he was in too deep to be able to take it off. He was like, nah, I'm keeping this on. And
got to have the continuity for footage.
Yeah, and then so the woman came back. She walked past the first time, and she was like, "Oh yeah, cool." And then she came back, and was just like, hyped on it, and told us, she thinks more kids should be doing what we're doing rather than being behind their laptops or being behind their iPads or phones. There was a lot of content of that which wasn't in the actual Devotion, but she brought that good vibe. And then he did it, I think, within a few goes after she came back. And we were just like, fuck, man. Like, I think I even said it. I was like, fuck, did that just happen? Like, because it was like, I think he'd said he was going to stop or had tried to stop. And I was like, no, man, just keep it going. And yeah, it paid off, man.
I think it is just those like various sources of inspiration that aren't always likely. Like, for example, with Sam, with the hop in the kink, like,
Yeah.
if the security guard didn't come, would he have got it that quick?
Well,
like
you
Leon,
don't know.
like Leon with the woman, like if the woman came along and said that and, didn't, I don't know, maybe it like warmed his heart a little bit or inspired him, would he have?
Really, definitely. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a pessimistic when it comes to those things, because I don't like to see my mates, go through with it until the end. But I do believe like his energy levels were depleted beyond belief. Do you know what I mean? Like he was beyond the red zone. And so I don't think he would have got it. I really don't think he would have got it. And that's not putting any kind of negativity upon Leon's skating or like whatever. I think it was just the fact that if it wasn't within those next few goes, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. You have said to me on more than one occasion that you believe you're like a hack and you're like, oh yeah, like I don't really know what I'm doing with my camera or
Yeah.
I'm calling bullshit on that, because I watched Carter LeBlanc's Bankcast today and he basically credits you for saying if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't know how to properly export and do the settings on his VX.
What, Carter said that?
Yes.
No, that's the opposite way around. I'm sure of it.
Nope.
He's taught me so much.
He said he contacted you to get information for like that, like ideal settings, and he definitely. I literally watched this today. He said that
this is used to me
on him, so you can't be that much of a hack.
Nah, dude. Like I'm sure. I'm positive, right? Because he released Chance of Rain 2, and we were speaking about settings, and he was saying his settings were a bit darker, and that he was going to start filming at a different setting so it would be more lighter. Like the image was so crisp, but it was actually a bit dark. I think his whatever. I don't even know what the fucking settings are called. I just play around with them until they look okay. But half the time it just looks a bit half-assed. Whereas Carter's footage is always consistent, always crisp. Like he's so good at nailing the right settings, whereas I'm just like, that looks all right, I'll go with that, because I generally don't know what I'm doing. I generally don't. I really don't. I watched the Beagle stuff back in 2013 when I got the 2000, and then I stuck with it. But I think there was a period. It was actually just after sober, when I didn't have any camera stuff, and I wasn't in the best mind state, and I completely forgot how I was setting the camera up before, and then since then I've just winged it, like completely winged it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. I genuinely believe it is harder to film in the UK though than it is in the US, because we have got, and I've mentioned this to so many people and they're like, oh man, like you wouldn't believe, like you can literally be filming a clip and you can film it like 4 or 5 times in the same setting, and then like say like the person's struggling with a trick, and then they'll land it, and then you'll look and a cloud's gone over or like the sun's changed, and you're like, it's a completely different like light set, and it goes from being sunny, bright, 20 degrees, like basically have like you can almost have the sensor closed and still be capturing everything, and then it turns out if you didn't basically turn it the whole way and have it almost open, it would have just looked like a nighttime shot. You don't get those like rapid extremes of like light change in the States. Whenever I've been there, the weather's always either consistently good or consistently bad. It's not like rapidly changing every minute. Yeah,
it's fascinating because it's in Sweet Shin Music. Bower does that really good back sav on a quite a long ledge and comes out forward and stomps it out.
The line of ledges are like, it looks like a new. I know
it's just a back that ledge that is quite high and goes along for a bit, and but that clip in itself, just as we're coming up to the ledge, clouds cover the sky. The actual clip is well dark, so I had to fuck around with that a bit in the editing to make that look okay. But then again, I think it's not just the weather. Some spots, like in London, there's so many buildings, tall buildings and stuff, that you could be like going a trick at one part of a spot in the line and then go to another part of the line, but it's in a completely different shade.
Yeah.
So you have to, I guess that's when the ND filter comes into play. I think I played around with the ND filter a little bit in Devotion. But yeah, it just is what it is. You have to play around with it, I guess, and just fingers crossed it all comes out all right. But then, you know, you can always adjust shit in After Effects and Premiere and whatever you're using. Yeah.
You said you weren't that much of a fan of your filming in Sam's section, but just managing to get that reel to reel alone is a blinder because, yeah, the security guard's in the way. And even if Sam is giving you a heads up, that's probably one of the most stressful, difficult situations you can be in as a filmer. Like, because for all you know, you can be prepared. For all you know, the security guard could have just shoved his hand in front of your lens just before he went.
Oh, he would have got pushed over. Like no one.
He was a big boy. You weren't pushing him over.
Look. No one touches the camera. No one does that. Like there have been some instances where I've been like, you want to take this camera, I'm going to smash you in the face with it. There's no fucking chance of someone taking my camera or lens off of me without that being broke. You're not walking away with my shit and selling that. I'm breaking that on you, on the floor, whatever it is, before you get your hands on it. So you pull out a knife, I'm just chucking that at you, or I'm chucking it on the floor, I'm smashing you in the face with it. Like there was a time, I think it was on the first edit I did when I had the 2000s. Was it on the first London one, Capital Rollers London thing? I can't remember what we called it. But at the end, there's this dude, and he's like, he hits the camera and the lens. And I say to him, like, dude, you fucking try that again, and this is going straight in your fucking face, or something along the lines of that. And you know, I wasn't joking. We had an argument after that. I remember it was, I think Billy Doyle was there, maybe Elliot. I can't remember, but I can't remember. But yeah, I've always stuck by that. Like, no one's taking my shit. Either you're getting it and it's going to get you broke, or it's getting broke. There's no way you're walking away with that and selling that. No chance.
Oh yeah, if someone tried to steal the camera, but I mean as in the guy's just like putting his hand in front of it so that you don't get the clip.
Nah, you'll lose a hand, mate. You're gonna lose something. But you know, but it's not, going back to the original point of is it stressful? Nah, we've dealt with security guards for years and years. The way we deal with them now is slightly different to where we dealt with them like 10, 15 years ago, which was, you know, all of that and giving it all the big birdies.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's just like, oh yeah, sure, mate. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah. And sometimes we will, and then we'll come back in 5 minutes. Or in that case, Sam just came out of nowhere. I wasn't even prepared, and did it. And then, I mean, yeah. But it's never like, I think when there is stress, it's when police are on the way or police are there or something. Then it's like, fuck, we got loads of evidence of criminal destruction. And like, if you're in the radius of the square mile in London, they have their own police force. The financial districts have their own police force and their own separate rules. So, you know, there have been instances in the past where we've had herds of police come and rugby tackle people, you know, skaters down to the ground and all of that, where we've had to, like, some people have had to hide under cars, whatever it may be, because you know, that's how they get down.
I've heard of that in Barcelona, like people having to basically run and hide their skates and like just walk down the street in liners and stuff. I've never heard of it happening in the UK.
Yeah, there was one massive incident at the Barbican. There used to be these ledges up above called strawberry ledges, and there was this one time and police came from every direction, and there was literally these were the days when there was like at least 30 skaters out, you know, at the weekend.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to disperse it in any which way possible. I think my mate Sai, he definitely got rugby tackled down to the ground. I think, was it Matt Watt? Some people had to hide under cars, and that was a fact. You know, that was what was going down. You know,
has there ever been, like, did you tell me a story? I can't like figure out if I've remembered this wrong. Did you tell me a story about being attacked by a meat cleaver or something, or like there was a gang with meat cleavers or something?
Yeah. Did I mention that last time? I really can't remember the stories I told last time, but we're at Canada Water, which is near Canary Wharf. There was this sick rail in this school. It was so low. It was like just above knee height or something. It was mellow, good length. So we were like, cool, sick, let's go there. But we all knew it was a pretty dodgy area. There was also, going off on a tangent, there was also the bonus of going to Decathlon, and Decathlon at the time sold Solomon's. So a bunch of us, well, I say a bunch of us, people will go in there and like take their old battered Solomon liners in, swap them for the new ones, fresh shots, and then off you go. That was that. Those are the good old days. So going back to the story, so we were at the school. You had to climb over this fucking tall fence to get in. So it wasn't like a quick in-out thing, especially when there's like 20 skaters, right? So we're all skating the rail. I think Welland and Russ Alford and all those guys were there, and there was a bunch of people in town. I think this was can't remember, maybe 2002 or 3 or 4, maybe, I don't know. They all blend into one. But yeah, next to it, there's this big mounds outside the school. And we called it Teletubby. There was a rail, actually. Sam skated it in Sam Super Sunday edit I did. He does a backside at the very end, goes up this little transition and down, and then backsides. It's a massive, long, fat down rail.
Okay.
So this group of kids start heckling at us in the school, and they're looking for a fight. Half of the people at the rail were just like, fuck them, let's just keep skating. Other half were like, nah, let's get out of here, we're not feeling this vibe. And then more and more of these youths start coming up to the school. We're like, fuck, we should probably get out of here now. And then so we climb over and we're like, fuck, like, let's go up Teletubby and then we can scope the situation and get out. So we go up to the top of the hill, and as we're coming up, more and more of these guys start coming out. And funnily enough, like Hayden, so Hayden's the guy in True Kindness and Balls, his brother Lewis was there that day, and he's like this martial arts expert. And he starts going down the hill towards them. And we're like, what the fuck are you doing? This one guy had a fucking meat cleaver on him. He wanted to do some damage or something. Or like, I guess in London there are certain areas where, when you're younger, there's territorial issues. You don't step in my hood. You don't piss on my area. You know what I mean? And we're pissing in their area essentially. So yeah, they wanted some of it. Lewis went down there. What I recall, nothing happened. Like, right. Nothing really happened. I don't think. I can't remember. No, there definitely wasn't a fight, but there was a dispute, and then majority of us skaters had bounced. A few of us waited for Lewis, and then that was that, I think.
See, that's one of those. Well, there's a lot of those experiences. It's really difficult to explain to someone who doesn't skate, because I've lost count of the amount of times where I've been, you've trespassed or whatever, and you've climbed over a fence, and someone's like, "Get out," and you're like, "Cool, come and get me," because they're you're not climbing the fence. Like, we'll leave when we're ready to leave. But then there's other times where, like you said, there's a group of people and they're not adults. They're just, maybe they're even kids your age, and they're perfectly happy to climb the fence and start shit. And then you're trapped. And I've been in a situation multiple times where I've either got mugged or got my ass kicked, because you're in this secluded place, like, I don't know, a schoolyard when it's, at the weekend, or skating a spot under a bridge. And it's basically you and like 3 mates, and you're very vulnerable. Like, you are alone, and you're alone in a place where you should not be. And then someone decides to take advantage of that, and you're basically sitting ducks. Like, that happened to me when I was like 14, 15. I was like pencil thin. I wasn't fighting anyone. I didn't get my ass kicked by anyone. So
I think about it, at that time, we were around that same age. I mean, I'll say the kids, but we were almost kids at that point as well, like early 20s and stuff like that. And a lot of them as well, they were probably around that age, although some of them were younger, but they have a lot to prove. Like, if they go, mate, we just fucked someone up, you know what I mean? They're going to earn their street cred and all of that. So let alone, like, we had camera equipment and all this stuff, money, you know what I mean? And these kids, like, not from a privileged background, that just don't give a fuck. So, but things that you see now, we're older and everything, we handle things differently, and we're not so vulnerable. We don't look that vulnerable now. Yeah. So it's very rare, even though we go to some of the dirtiest estates in London, where, there was the one, what's it called now? That one estate, it was in Devotion a little bit. It was in Harry's section a little bit. It's all like brick banks and shit. The estate's phenomenal. It's like a skate park. You can't even go to every spot in one day in that place, but it's got a reputation. I've forgotten the fucking name of it now. But if you Google it and you click on images, it's just mugshots. It's just mugshots.
Okay.
And the stories like behind there, like there was one story of you know, an OAP that was disabled and he got mugged for something like 85p on his front door. Do you know what I mean? It's it was crazy. And even then when we were there, like with Harry, there was so much weird shit going on constantly. Like, you know, we saw a mum. It was early-ish in the morning, right around 11 a.m. and there was a wedding going on. And this woman was walking past being propped up by her young kids. We're talking about 10 minus. Because she was fucked up, you know. It's just, you know, it's just weird, but yeah.
I think that is one of those things. Like, yeah, like I was saying, when you're a teenager, because you're a kid, you look young and you look vulnerable and you're easy prey. And they're like, "Oh, those kids look as if they might have like some money." But then when you're older, especially now, like we're skating now that we're skating, it's even weirder because we're like old, like we're in our 30s and skating. A bunch of teenagers don't want to start shit with a bunch of 30-year-olds on skates because we already look like an anomaly anyway.
Yeah.
And
when you say that, actually mentioning that same estate, I went there with Bower once, just me and him, and I thought it was a bit risky anyway. But so we're filming a trick early on a Sunday morning because we thought, you know, it'd be a prime time to go. You know, not much is probably going on in that place at that time. And as we're filming a trick, this guy walks out of the flats with a policeman. And the police guy is looking at us going, he comes up and he goes, "Do you guys know where you are? Like, do you know you're like sitting ducks there, man?" And we're like, "Yeah, we know this, but we're taking a risk. Like, I'm only just standing on top of this wall with a HD camera and he's skating and our bags are just over there somewhere." And it's like, yeah, we were asking for it. We didn't get it. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a big risk. But actually saying that, you know, these days, a lot of the young kids are really interested now. It's no longer about, oh, look, they're a target. It's actually like, fuck, you know, because who I'm hanging around with and what they're doing on their skates is actually so respectful and interesting. They're like, dude, I've never seen that before. Like, and they're hyped on it, you know.
Yeah.
And then they bring out stories about when they used to skate as a kid and start relating. And then you walk away from that situation going, wow, that could have gone either way. It could have gone really fucked. But actually, we've just enlightened these kids as to, and they're hyped because now they want to go skate. So,
plus a lot of it, yeah, is like you said earlier about how you interact with people now, because I guess maybe when you're younger, you might have been a little bit more defensive and been like, yeah, like what the fuck do you, like, you know, or got your back up or been like, well, instantly assumed they wanted to start shit. Whereas now, I think if they approach you and they're polite to you, you tend to be polite and friendly back. So
we'll never judge a book by its cover, and I think that's what we used to do as well. We'd be like, oh shit, there's a gang, and we'd start freaking out. They look at that and assess and be like, oh look, these guys are a bunch of pussies, or like they look scared of us. In fact, if you just stand your ground and just chill, be calm, the chance of them doing that are probably slim to none, because they'll probably just be like, hey, what's up? Let's see what's going on. And then you show them what's going on and they're like, damn, that's sick. Because when you're skating at, you know, filming with people at the higher end of the spectrum, there's no denying that what that is fucking crazy. But then again, it depends on what the kid's business is. I mean, I remember Leon telling me the story. He was at King's Cross once, and they were going to chill out, whatever. And some young kids came up and they're like, nah, this ain't, you got to go. Like, this is obviously they're in, like, you know, it's probably a cracky, junky area. Well, it's known for it. And they were probably on turf where a lot of stuff was going on where they didn't need attention being drawn to them. You know, so who knows? I mean, like, all these robbings, knivings, snatching and grabbing is happening all the time in London. So we get a bit complacent at times because, like I said, we go to the worst places, the worst renowned estates and all of this, and we get away with shit, you know, but for how long?
Yeah.
You know, for how long? To the point where it's like we have to walk home naked, which has happened to some kid at PlayStation years back. There's the infamous tunnel pathway that goes over the subway tracks, and I can't remember the kid's name at the time, but it used to be a PlayStation rat. And he got stripped naked. He had to go home naked, man.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, they took everything. They're like, you're going home butt naked, and we're going to point and laugh at you all the way.
It's so funny, like Ladbroke Grove, you've got the skate park, and yeah, there's some like dodgy bits around there, and then you literally walk like, what is it, like 5-10 minutes, and then you're at Notting Hill, and it's like these ridiculously expensive multi-million-pound like 2-bedroom flats.
Yeah, I mean, granted, that area was bad. It's a lot better now, but you can be anywhere at any time and some bad shit happen. I mean, today I was just going down the road here on my bike. I put a little picture up on my Instagram story. Probably shouldn't, but hey ho. But they had a dude in the middle of the road with a gun pointing at him. Yeah. And then 4 officers I saw were going in and raiding the house. I literally just must have missed the beginning of it. Literally just missed it. And I was like, okay.
That's a drugs raid. That's got to be a drugs raid. They don't bring out the guns for nothing.
I could have got the number, it would have been convenient. No, you know what I mean, though? It's just like, wow, you just don't know what's happening next door. So you can be in the worst place. Like I said, you can be in the worst estate in London and it be actual chill. You could be in the nicest part of London and it's like, head off, murder, shot, whatever,
Yeah, true. You went through like a phenomenally productive period there where you put out Alex's section, Vanilla, Devotion, Sweet Shin Music, and then obviously it's culminated in Sam's section. Was that intentional, or did you have a plan where you were like, I want to get these epic parts out of these people, or like I want to cross these off, or did it happen organically? Like, how did that?
Vanilla happened organically, I believe. No, I mean, like I always wanted to do another one with Alex, but I think at that point, I think it was when there's something happened with my mind where I wanted to start filming, but I wanted to film a bit better. I wanted to change how I was doing that, and I think Vanilla showed. I think the filming in that was slightly different from everything that I'd filmed in the past. And then with that, it was kind of like, I think the juice from that was, I think I was bored with pretty much 90% of everything that was out at that moment. I was having a few rants and raves at the time on social media about certain videos or certain things in skating. And I was just like fucking bored with it. And that was my mind state at the time. I look back on those videos now, I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? But I think my mind at that moment was so precise on what it wanted, and that was stimulation. It really needed something that was just like raw and good, and then so Vanilla was called Vanilla because it was kind of like, well, it's not vanilla, it's not plain. Like in my eyes at that moment, I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted some fucking pumping ass music to some dirty street and with some hammers and just shit and on the BX, and I felt like that did its job for me anyway. But yeah, so then
you guys put a lot of work into it. Like it looked like it was filmed in quite a few locations, because I recognised Manchester spots, I recognised the Sheffield spots. Like it looked like, was there London in there as well? It looked like there was
a little bit of London and a little bit of Reading. So it wasn't done in that many filming sessions. I don't think. I can't remember. Man, my memory's so bad.
But you obviously made a concerted effort to be like, right, we're not just going to skate the same shit that you've skated before.
Nah,
we're going to definitely go to new terrain.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was suggesting we went to Sheffield because I'd never been to those spots, and it was like I've always wanted to go. It was always
they're all so close to each other. It's so weird. They're like literally all on the one street.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, and it was just such a grom moment to be like, ha, sick, I've finally come to this spot and like give it a hug. It's sick. But yeah, then he came down to London for a day, went to Turnpike, he did that 270 back ride to Wall Ride, and then Reading for a day. But I think at that moment, I think Alex wasn't in the hype wasn't quite there, so we didn't get as much as probably wanted. But it was fine, man. And then so we dropped that. And I was ecstatic with that. I loved doing that. I think Alex originally wanted to use some other tune, and I was like, I've just got this song in my head that was pumping away. And I was like, I want to use that, man. And he was down for it, so that was cool. We met in the middle with that.
Was it MC Ren?
MC Ren, yeah. fuck what you heard. I think it was. Yeah.
And then it was ODB at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate. He put that on. He put that on the car ride back from Sheffield, and I was like, right, we're using this. We're like, I said, it's being used. Like, there's no way this is not being used, because it's like Alex loves ODB. His mate had just passed away. There was so much that was related to that song, and also its jokes. The song is funny as hell, and it brings that light-hearted feel vibe. So it was good to end on that, I think. And there was a few B-roll clips now that were nice. So I hope I did Alex justice with that one. I feel like I did. And then because of that and the response from that and then inspired me to want to go more with that flow of like the B-roll type stuff, etc., which went on to then Sweet Shit Music and Devotion, etc.
Bower section was just. And like I've already said it to you before, and James, that's my favorite section he's ever made, and I think it's almost impossible to top for him, just because I just think it's the best example that anyone's likely to see of his skating, and you guys clearly spent a ton of time and energy on it, and a lot of thought went into getting that variety of spots on it, because there's just stuff in there that I've never seen him skate before. Or like that type of obstacle. So it was definitely like the most mature version of his skating, I think. Just trying to think now. Definitely the most mature style, and we took our time with it. There was no pressure with it. Certain spots we go to, just me and him or whatever. But there was a lot of diversity, and I think I'd been exploring parts of London as well, and there's spots were like, well, let's go to that, let's try this one out, because I know James is skating well, so well enough to be like, I've seen that spot, that's you, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? I think I tend to do that with a lot of the guys now. It's like I'll see shit and be like, that's got your name written all over it. Let's go. Do you know what I mean? I think that's also a part of what a filmer and a filmer should be doing, is actually you're basically your location scout, and you have to understand who you're filming and what will appeal to them or what they're capable of.
And then how to push them and like push their capabilities. It's like, don't just let the skater do everything. I film because I want to see what I want to see. Like I am a viewer too, but what I put out is how I vision skating, right? So if I see a spot, I'm like, right, who's got the capability, or who might step up to it, like who has got the capability but isn't quite there yet, that would be able to push themselves. So regardless, then you might get a few bails, and then the trick landed, and then how does that go into the air? It builds it up, and then you're like, fuck yeah, that's sick, man. Like, you get to see them conquer themselves and conquer the spot, conquer the fear and all of that. So there's a lot to be said within the filmer's role. I keep wanting to refer to it as the filmer's job, but it shouldn't be a job unless you're getting paid. It should be just be like, cool, I'm repping my mates.
Call it like the filmer's responsibility.
Right. Well, again, it's a responsibility that I'm not trying to tell filmers or anything like, you should be doing this, but it should be a case of if you're out filming your mates, then you should be trying to like push them to the best and see them follow it through, not be like, oh, what would you want to do now? And then they get a few tries into it, and you're like, oh, I'm fed up, I'm done, I want to put the camera away, which I've seen many times over. And it's just like, well, if you're going to be that kind of filmer, just bugger off. What's the point?
That's it. Like you seem to have like the soldier mentality where you're like, nah, this is like, we're in this together. Like, if you're taking a beating, then I'm devoting myself to it as well. And if you win, we both win. So if it rains, if it rains, if someone kicks us out, if someone's being aggressive, we're getting through all of it. We're getting it.
Yeah, because there's a story to be told. There's always a story to be told. And the more exciting the story, the better it becomes. So you got to do it not only just for your mate, which is the sole primary purpose, but you want to do it for the jokes, for the like, everything just got fucked up right there, and it's brilliant.
So you had James's, then it was Leon's came out.
Yeah.
And all of that was before you moved to London.
Yeah.
So when you moved to London, did you move there with the intention of carrying on that momentum and putting out more
Yeah.
stuff, or what was like
Yeah.
what was the
Yeah.
motivation
So,
behind moving to
so,
London?
so things weren't working out that well for me in Reading. And there was a lot of stress, my ex had been, we'll go into she'd been evicted a few times where she was living just outside North London. Things weren't working out for her living here. She decided that was it. She was going to bounce back to Cali. And I was like, what? You know, she gave me 2 weeks notice. I'd already taken our daughter out of school and had to take her to court and everything. And you know, it worked. Best out of a worst case situation was Cams couldn't turn up to the court hearing, so we had to do a parent plan. I agreed to it, and then she went to Cali. But after that, I was in a bit of a bad way, and I was too many memories and stuff going on in Reading. So I was like, you know, Leon said he had a room going available, and we'd always been talking after devotion about how to build Bank up into a bigger platform. We were going to do podcasts and stuff, which he's now doing alone. But yeah, so that was it. Like the space came available at Leon. Stig was moving out, and I moved in. And the plan was we were going to go with it, like, you know, but it didn't work out. So
what happened when you moved to London then? Like, because were there, the only thing that came out during that period was the Go Project promo. Is that right?
Shit, was it? I can't remember. Might have been. It might well have been. But yeah, I mean, I was stacking, man. Like I was going out with Leon loads, filming loads. A lot of the stuff wasn't in holding weight. And then I was obviously filming with James, etc. And then I had work.
How much of Holding Weight was your footage then?
Oh, I don't know, man. I've only watched it once. Probably maybe 40%, maybe.
Does that mean you've got other footage of Leon that hasn't been released?
Yeah.
A lot?
He'll probably overdue time. I don't know. I don't really care what he does with it.
All right, you've given it to him.
Yeah. I mean, right. Like before Holding Weight started, we'd already started working on his part, and I was fucking hyped on it. It was. I mean, I might even just put it out. I mean, it's Holding Weight's out now, but it was really fucking dark and heavy. Like, I don't think there'd been a skate section yet that was quite that fucking.
As in terms, as in the way you edited it, or as in terms of how angry the footage was?
Again, it's everything. It's the music combined with the spots, combined with the tricks, to bring this atmosphere of just like really fucking like makes you just want to fucking just smash something. You know what I mean? It was great. It was great. I hadn't done something like that, and I've always kind of wanted to, but you know, me and Leon had our differences, so it didn't happen. And you know, that's it.
So why didn't you end up filming and editing and finishing Holding Weight?
Right. Cool. So glad you brought this up. So two maybe more reasons, but the two main ones is I had a really, really stressful year. Work was insane. I'd moved to a new location, same company. Work in forensics mental health. Obviously, you can imagine it's not the most easiest of jobs, although it can be good if you've got a good team behind you. But unfortunately, my team was a disgrace to humanity, and I stuck around there for 8 months, and I really tried my best to make a change. But at which point it broke me at the end of the year, and it didn't help that I was living with a friend that didn't really help me or console with me, but instead made me feel bad about myself. And I tried to speak with Leon about it on multiple occasions, to which he just ended up ignoring me and not being in the same room. So what's the point in me living in a house or putting my time and my passion into him any further? It was just like, nah. And then I think there was stuff going on as well. I mean, as well, I'm going to mention it because I'm going to mention it. I still don't know how much money we made off of Devotion, and he still hasn't paid me all of it. So yeah, fuck him for that one. Like, and also, you know, he charged for Holding Weight, and I filmed a fucking lot for that. put a lot of my time and effort. I found spots for him, did a lot of fucking groundwork for that, got nothing for that. So again, fuck him for that.
Did you ask Leon like how much it sold, or did you ask to be shown?
Constantly. I've asked him multiple times, log into the account, see what there is. We can work out the deductions for the selfie charges, for the PayPal charges, etc. What happened, right? So when it came out, I think it sold really well to the point where Selfie were like, "Nah, we're shutting it down for whatever reason."
Yeah.
So then we put it for sale on My Selfie. I didn't have any problems getting into My Selfie, working it out and splitting the money. So why couldn't he? So even then, it was like, oh, I guess we made this amount, or I guess we made that amount. And I'd be like, cool, well, can I get some of that? Because I need to buy some shit, you know. And he'd be like, oh, yeah, cool, I'll send you this amount. And then only send me a little bit of it here and there. And then again, it was like fucking getting blood from a stone. And just like, mate, I put myself out there for you. I didn't have to do that, yeah. But I did. Like, you've helped me out in certain times, but it was never on a personal level. So why can't you just tell me how much we made and give me what is owed? You broke my lens. You said money was going to come out of that for that lens. Never did. I know people sent you money personally. That was like, yeah, cool. Sent the money to Leon, split it with him. No word of that. So, you know, I've tried talking to him about it, and I've tried resolving the situation, and it's got that point where he just ignores me. He won't be out. If he hears my name coming to a session, he won't come out. You want to act like that. You want to think like, you know, he's this, you know, decent guy. In my opinion, he's not. I know he can be, because he's a very nice guy and very cool at times, but, you know, there's a bunch of people out there that are like, you know, and I'm now one of them, because, you know, I don't understand why he just can't be conversing with me and like giving me what is owed. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, man. And yeah, cool.
Did he ever give you a reason why he wouldn't like show? Because
no, he just be like, oh, I just don't know what I'm doing, man. I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, that's not a good fucking excuse. There's no excuse for that, man. There's no excuse. But there's, you know, and I guess, you know, whatever he's got to say, I don't give a shit about what he's got to say about me, because I'll openly admit that due to the stress and everything, and me not coping at the end of last year, I needed to be surrounded by friends that could support me and, you know, help me in my time of need. And he was not there. We were living in the same fucking house, and he wasn't there for me once. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I've had a nice support group around me of actual decent friends that put themselves out for me and in my time of need. And I can't ever repay them for that. You know, that's just, you know, you can't put a value on that. So that's why I moved out. And that's why, you know, he won't communicate with me, because I've called him out on it, you know, and I bet he'll be pissed at this, but sod him. Keep your money, man. Keep your money. Be that a light rollerblader. Yeah, get everyone to bum nick you, man. Don't give a shit. But yeah, so yeah, me and him, we ain't seeing eye to eye. He definitely ain't even trying to. I've tried, and I've just like, I'm over it now, man. Like it still hurts. It still hurts to think that, you know, in essence, I just feel like I was used.
That's what I was going to ask. So, like, based on what you said, do you think you saw Leon as a friend, but he saw you as a filmer?
No, I don't think he's capable of. Leon's always been out for himself. You know, I'll say it as it is, and I don't think he knows any difference. You know, he was trying to tell me, "What do you mean, Johnny? You know, I don't care. I go to Bubba Bar's house. I drive all the way to his in North London, and you know, I sit down and I talk with him. I'm like, yeah, but you can't like do that for your own mate who's living in your own house. Cool, yeah, nice one, man. Way to make me feel cool, nice. But yeah, it just is. It is what it is. Some like you get to, like you said, you know, you work people out, and I can be naive at the best of times, you know. And that's that, man. That's that.
So that was the reason why you moved out of London.
Yeah, work was fucked. Living in that house was a fucking nightmare for me, and I needed to get into a better place. So I reverted back to where I was working before, and I moved back to Reading to figure shit out.
you kind of like allude to then, and we did talk about it, like doing Leon's promo and doing Sam's promo.
Yeah,
And you mentioned this earlier about like working for companies and, you know, not feeling like filmers are respected. You've made promos for various companies over the years, whether it's Dirtbox, and I know like Dirtbox is a little bit different because, you know, Sam's a friend and like you respect him and you
yeah,
want to help him out. But you've done stuff for Razors, Go Project, USD. Have you ever been paid by any of those companies for those promos? Because they've all appeared on their
yeah,
official channels, so it's not like
yeah,
you're just doing it and their products happen to be in it. Like you're
yeah, yeah, yeah.
purposefully filming a promo for that company.
Well, Vanilla was kind of like I don't know, it might not be the first, but it was the one that sticks out because Razors paid for my travel costs to go up to Manchester and all of that. But that wasn't necessarily agreed from the get-go. The interesting one for me was doing the Go projects. And the Go project one for Leon is one of my favorites. There was just a lot of good shit happening with that. But it was at the point when I was realizing, like, well, if I'm filming something for a promo for a company, I want something in exchange for my time and all of that, you know, work being put into that. Because Leon was, you know, telling me about, oh, he was going to get royalties and this, that, and the other. And I was just there going, what? So am I just some kind of mug that's just going to fucking do all that for you and Jake and get bugger all for it? I was like, nah. So I said to Leon, I was like, well, you need to, you know, you want me to do this, then you speak with Jake and see what he thinks about that. Yeah. And if Jake's on board, then I'll start talking with Jake. We can go from there. And Jake was like, yeah, all right, cool. We messaged back and forth. Jake sent me some figures in regards to, you know, how much the wheels would make and profits and da-da-da. And then he was like, cool, I'll give you £100, I think it was. And I was just like, fuck that. Fuck that. What, you want me to go out for days and maybe weeks, maybe even a month, who knows, and film, go through all that process? And at the time it was, you know, I think we were going up on the bikes. There was so much effort involved. And I was like, nah. And then I spoke with Leon and we were coming up with, you know, ideas on how to make £100 work for a promo. And we were like, well, look, £100, well, maybe that's a day's salary for a filmer, so we'll do it in a day. And then I can't remember, at some point we messaged back with Jake and then Jake upped it to 200, I think it was. We were like, cool, we'll do it for a day. And we did. We went from Waterloo. So we went in from Waterloo and then we cycled all the way up to London Bridge, doing stop-offs in between. Like, we planned the route with spots in mind, films. Like I had the idea of a lot of B-roll type shots, like lifestyle type shots with it. And I just said to Leon at the time, I want to see some fucking weird mental instrumental track, like something that's bonkers and out there. And there was this, who was it? I can't remember who did it now. But yeah, it was this really weird track that we used. And it worked, We got. I wouldn't say lucky, but I think it was just like Leon was very hyped to get this wheel. All the conditions were right for this to happen. All the elements came together as one, and then yeah, it was good. It was great. And then yeah, we had that photographer guy, that famous architect guy, come out and he took the snaps of Leon.
Yeah, forgot about that. Yeah,
that was cool. That was really cool. He got skating. Like, Neil knew him through his work, and he showed the guy Devotion, and the guy was like, this is fucking mind-blowing. You know, he got everything about it. He got I can't even go into it because we'd go talking forever, but he knew exactly what Devotion was about, and he was like, I want to come out and take some snaps. So he came out that day and he got the snaps and he was just hyped on the skating, you know. And that was that. It worked out so good. Yeah, got a little bit of money off of that, and I think that equivalated to the amount of work that went into it. Probably should have got more considering I knew what the profit was, but apparently that's what you need to run a shop or whatever, which is bullshit in my opinion. But
so you got 200. Did you get wheels in, or just a payment of 200 quid?
I got some wheels. I got some wheels. I flogged them.
Because I was about to say, because if you get payment and product, the product basically equates to payment as well, because you can make money off the product.
I mean, that's it. I don't think I asked for the product. It was just given. So,
right.
And I wasn't going to use them. They weren't the right size for me. I don't skate 62s. and it goes against what I was saying earlier about companies giving away free shit, but I guess I'd worked for it and it was there, whereas other companies just give away free shit a lot of the time. I don't know, but
yeah. So
in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have I shouldn't have had them really, because there's so much shit I've been offered in the past and I just decline it because what's the point? Unless I'm going to use it, I don't see the point of me having that. That's why with Dirtbox, with Sam, there's a lot of stuff I bought. I just bought because I wanted to see it succeed, rather than just be like, "Hey Sam, can I get that on the freebie?"
Yeah. So is that the most you've been paid by a brand for a promo?
No, I mean, Sam obviously, like USD paid me for the boot promo. And I think that was it. The rest is just VODs. I mean, I could be missing out on something here, and I'm sorry to whoever that is, but I do have a bad memory. You
said Noodle Brain paid for your flights or something.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Mackie sorted that out. Legend. I mean, that was a sick trip. And then also, actually, I forgot.
And then the booted as well.
Sam bought me well, he didn't initially buy me it. He bought a VX to film with himself, and it was like, I can't. I just don't think he could have the time to do whatever he wanted to do with it, and then he just gave me it. So that was really cool.
I thought the booted paid for you and James to go to Barcelona as well, didn't they? Or paid
that was a bet. That was a bet.
Oh, right.
That was a bet. That was based upon a bet, which was if me and James won awards at the UK Slam Jam Awards, wherever it was then he'd pay for us to go to Barcelona to do the booted, to do a section on the booted. Okay. And it just so happens James won, I can't remember what he won. He won an award and I won a Videographer of the Year award, which I was like, what the fuck? How did I get that? And then so we went and did that section in Barcelona, which is probably the worst thing I'll put out, unfortunately, because I was hyped because I just bought a Super 8 and I bought all this film, and I think it was on one of the last days that Albert was there, and he was like, "Oh, let's have a look at it." He looked, he's like, "Dude, that's got a light leak. None of that footage is coming out." And I was like, "Don't tell me that, man!" Like, I was in denial about it, and then got back and I spent a shitload of money on getting it all developed, and none of it came out. So I was like not hyped anymore, and it was just drinking a lot. My creativity went out the window, and it was just like I didn't know what I was doing. But still got a lot of feedback that was loving it. Yeah. So who knows, man? It's subjective. It's all subjective.
Because the other booted projects you did with Alex and that, those were VODs. So I'm guessing you guys just got the money from the VODs. Days and Nights in London was.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, and then we donated some of that to charity. We always wanted to. Well, I always wanted to give something back to the streets. When you're out street skating, you interact with a lot of not so privileged people that are on the streets that show interest to skating, and a lot of young guys out there and girls, but more so guys have become homeless and they have skated in the past. And I thought, well, it would be a nice little thing to give something back. So I think with Alex's first two, I think we donated to Centrepoint, which is a charity that helps young homeless guys, get back on their feet. And then we did the Vanilla Mind charity.
Mind as well. Yeah, that was it. I remember that one. Yeah.
For people suffering with mental health, because they're, especially at the moment with everything that's going on in the world, it really is needed. I've used Mind in the past, and I can only say great things about them. So it was just a nice little way to give something back, I suppose. And it felt right. And I like to do that as well. Like with Harry and Avoidance, I can't remember if we were going to give out for free or not, but then he had his knee injury and he was just like, well, yeah, can I use the money to put towards rehabilitation on the knee? It's like, yeah, cool. And then it ended up, he was like, well, I want you to have half the money because I've made, you did quite well, like a lot better than expected. I think he thought it was only going to be a few $100, and it wasn't. It was a lot more than that. So
okay.
So he was like, it's only fair, you came out and, you put your time in for me. It's only fair that you got some upcomings from it as well. So I was like, whoa, sick. Nice. Cheers, man. Cheers, Harry.
Nice.
Harry's a fucking great, phenomenal person. And it was a privilege to hang with Harry. It really was.
So were you happier with the payment you got from USD than Go Project? I'm guessing it was more for USD.
I can't even give you an answer on that because it just doesn't seem good in the sense of does that matter? There's no comparison to be made. Like the money got from the Go project was more like a thing of like, cool. So I can actually like fight my corner as a filmer and get something out of this. It was like the first step of me ever rejecting an offer to film for a project. I think there's a lot of people that just jump at the opportunity just because.
Yeah.
But it was like, nah. And I told Leon nah. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, it's not the fact that you're a mate and I should. It's like, I'm not doing that for you or for him. I'm doing it for the rights of being a person that is out filming for a company that should be getting paid. Do you know what I mean? And so when it wasn't even actually like USD paid me, I guess, as such. It was more so the fact that Sam split his royalties. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But I think things are changing. USD and the conference are making, since the shake up with the Danny Beer thing, they really are changing their direction on how to, compensate for their riders and people that are involved with the promotional side of things. So I was just like, that's cool. It's been a blast filming this, and I'm happy with what I'm receiving. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
it was kosher.
You kind of touched on it there. I think that's one of Bladen's many problems, that for every person that does stand up and has integrity and says, I'm not going to tolerate this, like you get, companies, you get like skaters leaving companies because they're like, well, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Or you get people that aren't willing to, you mentioned Joe not willing to skate for any company because they've not offered him something that he believes is fair or he believes is on his terms. And that's, I don't know what happened with him and Roses. I'm not taking a side in that.
No, I don't know.
And there's been other examples throughout history, like Carson Starnes was offered a pro skate from Razors.
Oh.
He didn't like the terms it was on. So can you hear me?
Yeah, just cut out there for 1 second. Sorry.
And I think the problem is it's great for like the people who have integrity and they go, you know what, I'm more concerned with the culture and the future and, how our sport progresses. But like you said, for every person that does stand up and says, well, I'm not going to accept these, what I believe are poor terms. Like you also said, there's someone willing, there's not just someone, there's 100 people standing behind you going, I'll take it.
Yeah. And skate companies will take advantage of that. But at the same time, it depends on how old you are and what your setting is. But like, do you really need to be a professional skater? Do you really need that money? Have you been to uni? Have you got a job? Do you have these things? What is your purpose of wanting to be a professional rollerblader doing it for a living? Now, someone like Joe is way beyond the capabilities of doing this. Like the standard of skating, he can skate it all, like street, vert, park, whatever. Wherever you put in front of him, he can do it. And not only that, his interactions with everything and the way he lives his life is phenomenal. So he ticks all the boxes. But like, for someone who's not on par with that and has been and got an education and got a job, why the fuck would you want to be a pro rollerblader? It's like, if you're earning decent money, why wouldn't you want to support skating? Why wouldn't you want to buy your skates? Why wouldn't you want to do those things? Why would you want to not have the freedom to do whatever the fuck you wanted? Why would you want to, restrict yourself? And the answer to that, in my opinion, is because you want this fucking egotistical validation of I'm a pro rollerblader. That's the only thing that I can come up with, man. Like, I need to be validated for my skill and and it's just like, you're a fucking waste. Bugger off. But that's all I can come up with. I don't see the point if you're a success outside of skating. Why would you want to be a professional rollerblader if on a minimum salary, struggling? It just doesn't make sense. And like, it's all unreliable anyway. Like, if the company could fall apart at any minute, then what?
Yeah. Well, we saw it with SSM. Like, SSM ended, and when it ended the careers of pretty much everyone that was left on the team.
Yeah. That was sad, but that was from what I understand, Sheen was going through a lot, and his injury, outside stuff of skating, it was, he couldn't sustain it, from what I hear. But that's just how that goes. I mean, I don't know what I can really say on that. It's just
you mentioned it, right? I'm hoping for a very coherent argument in this one. You mentioned earlier that you're not a fan of shops. I want to know why.
Well, look, everything. I like the closest skate shop to me is Loco Skates. It's over 100 miles away. You can buy, like, everyone's been ordering stuff online recently, right?
You get free. What's it called? Slick Willies. Slick Willies is in London.
Yeah, but they don't have like a good selection on shit. Maybe they should, but they've got to take that leap of faith and start stocking everything. It may not sell. It may. There's tons of skaters in London. The opportunity's there. And maybe they do. I don't know. I just haven't been. I don't know. Okay. I don't think they do, though. From what I understand, because Sam obviously sells stuff to them through Power Slide. So from my understanding is they don't really do much. It's very limited. But again, I don't see the point, man. Like, maybe if you're younger, sure. But again, we haven't been able to during lockdown, and sales have been at their biggest, right? But my whole thing with skate shops now is they're taking away what the skater and filmer or whoever's involved is owed. A pair of skates sells in a skate shop, they're pocketing money from that big time. But yet the pro skater gets a tiny bit of percentage of that sale. That doesn't bode well with me. It doesn't make sense.
But isn't that the company's responsibility and not the shops?
No, yeah, I get that, but what's the point, right? So if there's something that you can take out of the middle, and that is the middleman, like take the shop out. We don't need them as such. I don't think there is that big of a necessity. But yeah, but they're saying that. Now I'm going to argue with myself here, because if the sales are being made online, I don't know. Like, if the companies are making sales direct, the USD sell direct.
Nope.
Do them sell direct?
Them do. Them have got their own.
So maybe I haven't really thought about this, but is that the reason why them are able to sell? Give Danny Beer that big chunk of money is because they're doing sales direct as well?
Yes and no. But there's two sides to this, because one, them will make more profit on the skates because they're selling direct and they're selling at the full retail value, so they'll make the profit. Right. But they'll also lose a lot of money, because bear in mind that, see, when they ship in bulk to a shop, that's cheaper and requires a lot less manpower than shipping individually and packing individually every order, because that's basically that's a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because if you're buying direct from the shop, I see what you mean. I don't know how much shipping is, but I just thought in my mind that if you're selling direct, you make more money, there's more profits, you can give the skater more.
Theoretically, but there's hidden charges.
I just don't know many people that go direct to a skate shop in general. Like, so if you're buying stuff from, say, Muzzle direct from them, or buying direct from Loco, what am I going to go for? I'm going to buy direct from fucking Muzzle, because I know that all the profits are going back into it. Not buying from Loco and then Loco buying at a cheaper price and then Muzzle making half of that money. Do you see what I mean?
But that's only for specific brands. For a small brand, that would make sense. But for most brands, don't have that infrastructure to do that, and it's very expensive to set up for a skate company to set up a shop would cost them tens of thousands of pounds.
Yeah, and again, I guess I just haven't really thought that one through as much, and there's a lot of argument to say that I'm an idiot on that. But at the same time, I'm just thinking about how Jake was like, well, we're going to make X amount of money on these wheels, but you can only have 200 quid for it. I'm like, dude, I'm like I said, my whole thing on making content, whether it's for a company or not, is advertisement for I mean, even if you're not doing it for a company, it's even more advertisement for a variety of companies. But yet you're getting fuck all out of it, really, from these companies. So you're giving them an image, a brand. You're giving the consumer what they want to see. You're getting to see the freshest, sickest footage of whoever it may be. But yet you're getting fuck all from it. And it's like, but yet the companies are making, not companies, or whatever, shops, whatever it may be. I just think there's got to be, I'd rather buy direct from a company is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I'm getting tired now. My brain's not working as well, but
Look, in some scenarios that does work, but in other scenarios it does make sense for it to have all varieties of products from all brands in the one place.
In my pea-sized brain, my ideology behind it was, if you buy direct, they make more money. They should be able to pay their skaters better, or give them a better lifestyle, or wherever it may be. Filling in this shitty area of skating where there's fuck all being given to skaters as such. Put them on a wage. Put them on a bloody wage, man. Put them on a wage. Do a contract. Put them on a wage. Whatever it is, you know. And I just see people that own skate shops to just be like, cool, we're good. I'm good to go. And it's like, you just don't deserve it. You're a middleman.
Maybe they're good. Maybe they're good in the past 12 to 24 months, but before that, they've struggled quite badly and roughed that. You know,
I don't know, but yeah, like I said, this is just a conversation, and it's good that we're bouncing off each other because you're making me see things a little differently, and that's the beauty of it all. It's all, you know, just because I've got an opinion doesn't mean it's fucking right. The majority of the time, it's bloody wrong. Like, do you know what I mean? But it's good to be talking about these things and bringing a different thought to the table rather than just being like, oh yeah, cool.
The one thing I would say is though,
so I want to talk about things and bring a different opinion.
The one thing I would say is though, like the shop, I genuinely believe does benefit the consumer, because think about it this way: see if you bought every individual thing that you needed for a pair of skates or to skate from every individual brand, you could pay several £100s in postage, whereas you could just pay a one-off payment in postage and get all those different products in the one order from the one shop. And if you order enough, you end up getting it for free. Whereas if you ordered from direct from Muzzle, Create Originals, like them, you could end up spending like several £100s in postage.
I'm sure Muzzle's free postage. I could be wrong.
Okay, maybe not. But like, if think about it, if you're in the UK and you buy from them, you're going to pay like $100 in like postage before getting taxes.
I mean, like I said, it's good that we talk and we bounce ideas off of this, because, like I said, I'm not always right, but I just think there's rooms to adjust. Whether they're right or wrong, who knows? But I ain't buying shit from a skate shop.
Okay,
that's where I stand with that.
I forgot to ask. Right, so obviously everyone knows all about your edits, but a lot of people don't, or people just have short memories and don't realize that you've actually responsible for a lot of full-length videos from years ago as well. And so there's Lords of Movement. There was the first.
My first video I ever did was skating in Reading, which was VCR to camcorder type jobby, and VCR to VCR jobby. That was like 98, I think. Then there was a video that I did with Leon and Stephen Madsen, aka Pro Green, which I don't think we had a name for it, but that never got released because Stephen's computer died. And there was that good story I told you the other day about that, which we can touch on maybe if there's time.
Tell me the videos first, and then I want to hear the story again, because people need to know that story. Video.
Then there was Sidetracked, which you made with Leon and Sam Bold. Then Lords of Movement I was involved in, although wasn't a bigger part of the process of that.
Okay.
That was more so Leon and Sam. Then there was Capital Rollers, which was me and Sam, but that never got finalised because we were just too busy getting messy. We're too busy going out doing all sorts.
It's not out online?
Yeah, I mean, Capital Rollers is out online. I think some of the sections to be taken down due to copyright, but it never got finished.
Okay.
We got about 4/5 into it, and we're just like, fuck it. We were just having a good time. We were young in London and getting drunk and dancing the night away. I mean, that was it. So then there was Capital Rollers. Then there was Egg, which I did with Cy Carling, which again could have ended up like Capital Rollers, but we saw it through. That was more of a UK video than a London thing. And then I think we step onto the VX stuff after that.
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah.
So what happened to the video? What happened to the video with Leon and Professor Green, or well, before he was Professor Green anyway, when he was Stephen Marsden?
Yeah, so Steve, he lived in, well, I guess you'd call it Upper Clapton, like Hackney Way. This was down in 2000, maybe 2001 time, so a long time ago. And that area of London was like pretty much no go for like out of towners. Very, very rough, like very rough indeed. In fact, the night when this event happened, we got to Stephen's. Stephen was living with his nan, and outside the entrance to his block of flats as such, someone had been shot just earlier. So yeah, you get an idea. So it was quite fucked up. So Leon, obviously living in South London, and I was coming from Reading. We'd skated in the day. Both Leon and I had all our camera stuff with us, and we were going back to Stephen's to edit. And it was, dark. And we came out of, I think it was Upper Clapton Station or whatever, coming up the high street, which is now where Soda is. Obviously, it's gentrified now, so it's a bit safer. And we ran up the road, like even Stephen, he was like, let's go for a jog, man. And I was like, because there was like loads of street hooligans all the way along, and it was like, fuck, man, like anything could happen, man. And then we got to his place, and obviously saw the sign and someone being shot. We're like, fuck, thank God we got here. It's cool. So we set up, and we start editing. And Stephen starts, he doesn't have the best of health at that time, and suffering from like quite severe migraines. He's like, dude, I got to go to bed. Like, can't deal with this. Do you mind if I want to turn the lights off? Because we're editing in his bedroom. And he's like, cool. So he goes to bed. Bear in mind, this is not a very big room. And he's asleep, and I'm like, oh, sod this, man, I'm tired. Like, we've been out skating all day and all this stuff had happened. And I was like, I'm going to bed as well. So I went and slept on the floor, and Leon was like, no, I'm staying up, I'm editing. We're like, cool. So he stays up and he's editing, and I fell asleep. And then the next thing I know, I'm waking up, and Stephen's like scrambling over me and smacks Leon in the face. And then Stephen split his hand open. I'm like laying there, and then blood dripped on me. And I was like, fuck, what's going on? And Stephen runs out of the room screaming and shouting. And then his Uncle Mark was there, and Uncle Mark grabbed Stephen. Stephen had a knife, like a kitchen knife. And like, fuck, me and Leon were like grabbing all our shit, like, in our underwear and shit, whatever. Like running out of his nan's flat, and like, what the fuck happened there? And apparently, like, Leon had pushed his luck a bit. Stephen was complaining that his migraine was getting worse, and was asking to like cut the editing out and everything, and like just go to bed. And Leon was like, no, I've come all this way, I'm editing, and refused to stop, and pushed Stephen to the point where Stephen snapped, which is not good. So yeah, and at that point I was due to sell my camera to Stephen. And so anyway, we're walking down the main high street there in Clapton, and the next thing we know, like, we've got our clothes on at this point. Next thing I know, like, Stephen's running down the street with a knife coming after us. What the fuck? And there was a bit of an argument from what I remember. I think, well, not an argument, it was just like more of like a kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And it was left at that.
How well did you guys know him before this happened?
Yeah, I mean, like, Leon knew Stephen way before me. But then how well do you know someone until you push them to their boundaries? Or like, someone can say they got a headache or a migraine. Are you going to believe them? Well, obviously Leon didn't. And, the way that Leon is, he didn't want to go anywhere, He didn't want to listen to what Stephen had to say, because for Leon, it was more important about the editing rather than his mate suffering with a severe migraine. So that's that. And then I guess, Stephen snapped. So that was that. And then we walked from Clapton all the way to Blackfriars to a ledge, at the Millennium Ledge. But en route, we were getting stopped off by weirdos, telling us to get in the car. We went through dodgy estates with Nazi signs over it, and this was going on from maybe like 2-3 a.m. to 6 a.m. And then we got to the ledge, and Leon's skating the ledge at 6 a.m. and we were just like, fuck, get me home, man. Like, and then I had to get back from London to Reading as well. It's just like, it was a fucking nightmare. But what a weird scenario to happen.
And did you guys ever hang about with him again after that?
Well, yeah, I think the next week afterwards, Leon and Stephen had a fight, actually. They actually had a fight at Nat West. Okay. And I think it was either Leon or Stephen had the trousers and everything pulled down and was made a mockery out of or something, which is quite funny. I wasn't there for it. But yeah. And then after that, I think Stephen started getting more into his rapping and freestyling and things like that, because they were all doing that anyway on AOL Chat. We used to go on AOL Chat and do their freestyle battles for jokes. But Stephen always had that talent, and then it just came out, and then he thrived off of it and became very successful from that. Well, you could say successful in certain aspects of it. I mean, he had that marriage that didn't go accordingly, and
he's had a hit song and he's had albums that are so well.
I mean, he's done TV and the thing is, he's doing those documentaries now that are wicked. He's done really fucking well for himself. So round of applause to him, because he smashed it. What can you say?
Have you guys ever been in touch since? Like, just because he still keeps up with skating, because every once in a while he'll comment or like or share something.
Yeah, when Albert's, man, this is still going back a bit, I guess, but one of Albert's last skates came out, he was like, cool, I want to get them. And then he was asking me for some cuff bolts or something. And he actually had a little tutorial thing on YouTube of him skating in the skates.
Okay.
I don't know if it's still on there or not, but yeah, he was like, yeah, he had the green Albert UFS Thrones on. So we're skating, yeah.
So I remember when Quinny's skates came out, he bought a set because he posted about it, and my partner follows him on Instagram, and she was like, "You're never going to can't get the words out. You're never going to believe this. Professor Green's bought blades." And I was like, "Yeah, his name, like he does, like I remember him skating."
Yeah. I mean, Stephen was good as well. Stephen had tricks, but I think his health conditions weren't so good. I think was there one time at Turnpike Lane, I think he hit his head. And I think that was a turning point where he was like, I can't do this because it could cost me my life now. So yeah, I think that was a turning point for him to go from street skater to have to do something else.
Yeah.
Which he was already doing essentially anyway. He just put more time into it, and look what he got out of it,
I mean, some might argue that the rap industry is more dangerous than the skating industry, because he ended up getting stabbed at a club event.
Yeah, he got a fucking bottle to his neck, didn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but again, you live and you learn. You got your stories to tell. You live to, to tell the tales.
If you live to tell the
that's a bottle to the neck, man.
Surviving that is luck.
Yeah. Well, he's got to be doing something, right? Or there's got to be another purpose for him to be still on this planet. And it seems like, doing these really good in-depth documentaries on mental health and all sorts, and just being open and honest about everything that he's been through is a success for him, because, it definitely touches me on many levels with the stuff that he's putting out in these documentaries. So, yeah, like I said, nothing but my hat goes off to him. Legend.
It's pretty crazy, yeah, the people that you just meet who then go off to do other, like, just interesting, or like even if they're not successful, you find out like what they've got up to later in life, and you're like, whoa, that's really like fascinating or respectable, or whatever. Yeah, it's quite crazy. So that takes us up to present day. So what's the plans for the future? Or like, because I know that you've sold your equipment a bunch of times throughout the year, and I know that you sold or you advertised a bunch of your stuff like not that long ago. So is that are you getting rid of everything? Are you going to continue? What's the plan?
Well, selling my stuff has always been because of certain reasons. Like I sold my stuff to Leon when we were doing Devotion because I had no choice. I had to pay for court stuff because of obviously at the time my ex was trying to take Lila back to America. So I needed that money to help fund for that. Then as times after sober, I just needed to rehabilitate myself. I sold my stuff then. Bower bought my lens and bought it back off of him when the time was right. And then last year, with everything that had gone on and what happened with Leon, I was like, I'm fucking done, man. Like it's the time and the effort that has to go into doing these things just wasn't. It didn't. it wasn't equal to what I needed at the time. And I had a really bad taste in my mouth. So I was like, fuck it, I'm selling it all. And then Crofty was like, I've always wanted a VX, I'll buy it. And I was like, what? I was like, what? You want to buy it? Are you sure? He was like, yeah, I'll buy it. And I was like, all right, cool. And yeah, so he bought it. And then we ended up doing the promo. And then, he said at the time, do you want to buy it back? And since Devotion, I guess, and everything since, I've had offers from certain people or certain ideas and offerings of wanting to do certain projects. And it's been playing on my mind, like, should I buy it back? Like, I've got an idea of how I want to approach skating now if I was to do something again. And it wouldn't be in the same region of how I've been doing it in the past, where it's been more of a skate section. I want to do more in the middle. It is a skate section, but you really get to know that person in the sense of, while they're out skating, like, what's your favorite food spot, or like what does this spot mean to you, or like, you want to really, like, because people have said, I feel like I'm at the session, like, especially with the Joe parts, he said they felt like they were a part of it, and I think I want to feed more into that if I was to do something again. So I've actually got a little list of ideas that I'd like to try, but do I have the time and the energy to put into it? It's like the whole thing with the Go thing. Like, if I've only got 100 or 200 quid, how much effort am I going to put into it with that? More this time, it's, do I have the time? So I've worked out ways of how I could do it, but do I want to do it is the question. Like, do I want to continue doing this anymore? I don't know.
I mean, if you don't film another section of James Bower, I don't know if anyone else will, because I don't know if anyone else will have the kind of chemistry that you guys have.
That's the bummy ass thing about blading, right? And that's why they need to start paying videographers like money, because everyone that films and makes stuff is only doing it of their mates. So you only get to see that one filmer and editor's perspective of that skater, whereas
I don't mean that no one else. Yeah, I don't mean that no one else wants to of James. I just mean
around the world, and then seeing what they create of their new group, it would be totally different. You see a totally different side to that person or that skate group or that environment. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's perceptions are different. So yeah, you say that, but like, who's to say that? Like, I mean, Greg could probably smash out an insane section of James.
Oh, that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they couldn't, but what I'm just saying is I just don't see it having the same kind of chemistry or being as special. I just don't picture.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we live, we breathe the spots and everything, and I know what he's about. You know what I mean? And he knows what I'm about. So it all feeds together and bodes well. But that's not to say that, you know, that there's many people out there that could just fucking out the park. Do you know what I mean? And it makes it more interesting as well. You get to see all different aspects of that person. So it would be cool to see. It'd be cool to see someone random working with someone else that you would never expect them to work with.
Yes, that's true. So what you're saying is you're not ruling out future projects. You just haven't decided whether you're going to commit to it yet or not.
I wasn't going to, but then it appears that there is a little area that I think I could pursue that would have my personal touch on it that I don't think many other people could do. So for that reason, I would like to do that, but it's all about the time. Like, have I got the time to do that?
Yeah,
I've got to, and I mean, I would have to commit, and also I ain't fucking around with that COVID jab. That can bugger off, and if that means I'm limited to things that I can do, then so be it. And maybe my ideas may not work in that aspect until things get completely loose. Do you know what I mean?
I would argue that you have already created that niche for yourself. I would say your sections that you've made of those skaters that I've mentioned are unlike anything anyone's ever made of them before. So you have already created that niche. It just sounds like you want to expand upon it.
Well, yeah, mate. No, cheers. That means a lot. It means I'm doing I'm doing something right there, like with how I want things to be. But I see there's something bigger to expand on with that, and I'd like to, but like I said, it's all about the time. Do I have that time to commit to it? And it would be worth it. I wouldn't charge for my idea for what I want to do. I don't want it to be any VOD type shit. I'd like everyone to be able to see it, not some thing we're going to charge for. So it's all about working that all out.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree on the COVID jab thing. I'm going to let that one go. That could end up being a discussion that lasts like 2 hours.
No, we don't need that. We don't need that. I think the less talk about that fucking subject, the better.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
If we've all got, I shouldn't have even said that, but it was a part of the issue, because if I've already been prompted and asked to go film abroad a couple of instances, and it's just like, nah, I can't, man, because I ain't taking that jab. So it does bring that conversation into the question. But if your opinion is you want it, that's fine. I ain't going to knock you for it. That's fine. But from my feelings of everything that I've researched upon and everything, I'm not fucking with that right now. Okay. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, but I'm looking at facts, figures, and what you can do personally to boost your immune system. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm not talking about I want to go on holiday and I want to go back to normality. That can bugger off. I don't care about that. I care about doing things right, and I don't like what's going on. So I've never been one to sit down and just take it as it is. I've always been one to think a bit differently and rebel as such here and there, but this is more to do with the fact that I think we're capable of boosting our immune systems through the breathing, through Wim Hof, through amino acids, through many different things. And for the time being, I don't need no jab. I'm in the statistics where I can heal myself. I have apparently had it. I tested twice for it and came back positive last year, sorry. And I was all right. So, and if I was to get it and I did die from it, well, fuck me. That's my own fault. But I'll take that on board.
Yeah, I don't always agree with what you say, but I do I like the fact that I like the fact that you're like willing to stick your head above like the parapet and be like, this is because you mentioned it earlier. You said, I talk shit in all these videos and then I release my own videos, and it's like I think that's the difference. There's people out there that are like, we either talk shit and not have any action and not back themselves up or not deliver anything. Or there's people that will just, play nice and pretend that they like everything when they don't and be two-faced. At least if you're willing to talk shit, like you're going, well, here's my stuff and you can decide whether you rate that or not, but you're willing to make a contribution.
It's all subjective, right? And the thing is, like, yeah, I've talked some shit in the past for sure, but that's normally been, and it has actually, say normally, it's always been when I've been under the influence or I've been in a dark state of mind. Yeah, and it has caused issues, and well, that's just how it goes. But I think I just like I mentioned before earlier, I believe that there's this big cliquey thing in rollerblading, and everyone's doing the same thing, or like feeding into the same thing, or they don't say nothing at all. I'd rather say fucking something and not be a part of this cliquey, cool kind of whatever. I just want to do my thing, and that's what I'm doing. So if I bring an opinion to the table and it's not to everyone's taste, good. I've still got an opinion.
So there's nothing wrong with ruffling feathers. Like if it creates change.
It's like we converse, we talk, then we learn, we bounce off ideas, and they go, oh shit, well maybe I was wrong, my bad. But that's just how it goes.
As long as you're open to listening to other people's perspectives, whether or not you agree with them, it's just as long as you're actually willing to acknowledge that there is potentially other ideas out there.
That's it, man. That's it. It's about, because otherwise nothing new happens. We're just stuck in the same old routine.
Yeah. We've chatted shit for hours. I've got nothing else left. Actually, that's not true. I've got shitloads left to ask you, but then we'd be here for like another 6 hours. So anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
Oh, man, you asked me this last time. I can't remember what I said. I just think just have a bit of fun. Go fucking street and cause some anarchy out on the streets, and And that's it, man. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Put a smile on your face, celebrate your mates, be happy. Like, just skating's incredible. Don't try and take it too fucking seriously with all this cool style stuff. I mean, if you've got style, that's great, but focus on just having a good fucking time. And that's what counts. I think it shines through. And like I said earlier, more people buy cameras, rep your mates. Like, if you ain't got a camera in your crew, start doing it and just put some shit out, mate. It doesn't have to be great, but you feel the vibes. Like, when I say great, I mean like the sense of like the tricks, but you put the sense of, what your group is doing, how you're doing stuff. And if it's fun and it's awesome, then people are going to feed on that. And that's a great thing. We need to do that more rather than keep putting out promotions and shit where it's just skating. Fed up of it, mate. Let's bring that communication of our mind, body, and souls together and make this a pleasant, fun, happy, fucked up thing.
I think you need to bring out a T-shirt that says "Make blading gully again."
So corny, mate. Corny. I think I'd rather bring out an invisible T-shirt and try and sell that. You
can wear it with your. You can rotate it with your Young Gang T-shirt.
Oh mate, Young Gang, sick. I've got neither. So Briggs mentioned that on his podcast on the Wax Toe. So I've neither of those T-shirts now. One went to James, and I think the other went to Marius.
Oh right.
But they've got good homes. I might buy another one if he's got one. Although I think he said he sold out. But yeah, Young Gang, Michael Briggs. He's fucking man.
He's got some great ideas. Yeah. Right.
Love it.
Let's wrap this up.
Right. Cheers, Dave, man.
It was good talking to you, man.
Opportunity. I'm sure I missed shit out, but yeah, it's all good. Thanks, mate.
Anytime. Speak soon.
All the best.